Well, I was bound to make a full video containing all 300 days of my adventure towards the perfection in Stardew Valley at some point. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to subscribe, as these videos take ages to produce. Make sure to grab your big bag of popcorn or have me on in the background, because this one's going to be mega. And without further ado, this is how far I can get in 300 days of Stardew Valley. If you're unfamiliar with the story of Stardew Valley, it begins with us wanting to escape our very boring office job and seek adventure in Pelican Town. And after our granddad's sad passing, we inherit a farm to start our new life. We begin in the new farm type, the Meadowlands farm, which main difference comes in the fact that you have a new coop and chickens to start with, but comes at the cost of not starting with parsnips, but with hay instead. Day 1 begins with me getting used to the controls and remembering my goals and what I want to achieve in the 100 days. On my way to Pierre's, I managed to forage 4 leeks and a horseradish, which is great for early energy problems. I then spent all of my gold on 41 parsnips at Pierre's, which meant I had to do a whole lot of watering soon. I made sure to greet as many villagers as possible on my way back to the farm. I made sure to clear an area for my crops to go before consuming all of my forage to have enough energy to plant them all. Day 1 ends with me clearing out some more debris on the farm, making sure I have enough wood for a chest. Overnight, I managed to level up to level 1 foraging, allowing me to craft field snacks, an extremely useful source of early game energy, a fact I most certainly won't forget about. I begin a sunny day 2 with a letter from the local fisherman Willie requesting I come down to the beach to collect the fishing rod. After painfully watering all of my crops, I rush down to the beach for one of the most important early game items, the fishing rod. For the next few days, fishing is the only task on my mind. I make sure to craft a chest to place in the mountain lake for easy storage of my catches. On the way, I spot a bunch of suspicious looking worms which I hoe up to discover a new crop introduced in the 1.6 update, the carrot. With the new discovery, I'm going to try and make it my goal to find all 4 by the end of the 100 days. I then spend most of the day fishing, catching multiple expensive fish such as the largemouth bass. This is what I ended day 2 with, and as you can see, I was very lucky fishing up treasure to catch over 50 bait and 7 geodes just before passing out. I awakened on day 3 with no memory on how I got home. However, it was a rainy day today, which meant I didn't have to water any of my crops, which came at a big relief. I gathered up all of my fish and sold them to Willie and purchased the fiberglass fishing pole, a much needed upgrade to complete my fishing goals. I also donated an artifact to the museum, and of course, to achieve perfection, completing the museum is needed, so any artifacts I find along the way will be helpful. Because it was raining today, I wanted to try and catch a catfish as they can only be caught when it's raining. I ended up catching it, which came as a surprise to me, as it is a very difficult fish for this stage of the game. The day ended with me shipping most of my fish and a diamond for some cash, accumulating 2,100 gold, which set me up pretty well early on. I managed to get her to a whopping fishing level 4 going into day 4, which is probably the best ever start to a Stardew Valley playthrough. Although I haven't played in a while, everything was eventually coming back to me. But as you will see later on in the playthrough, I make some real mistakes that end up costing me greatly. On day 4, I'm greeted to a dry field of crops which require my best watering to keep them healthy, no doubt wasting all of my energy in the process. I proceed to do my daily chores of feeding and petting the chickens and shipping any eggs I receive. I head straight over to Clint's to crack open some geodes in hopes of getting some artifacts and copper ore. Copper ore is essential, as this means I can get the furnace recipe from Clint a day before the mines open, giving me a much needed head start in the mines. I got exactly what I asked for, giving me 4 new artifacts to donate to the museum, alongside copper ore. And as a reward for donation, Gunther gave me 9 cauliflower seeds, which would save me from spending any gold on them in the future. I headed down to Willie's to buy some more bait for fishing, to find a new type of bait called the deluxe bait, which was expensive but looks much better than its plain counterpart. However, I do remember that the mines open up tomorrow and I should prepare, so I brought 9 salads from Gus for extra health and energy in the mines. I also stopped by Pierre's and brought a green bean plant for the community centre bundle. Then I ended up the night fishing up in the mountains, ready to begin my dive into the mines on day 5. On the dawn of day 5, I receive a letter letting me know that the boulder blocking the entrance to the mines has been destroyed and now the mines are now accessible. However, I'm interrupted by Marnie, offering me the chance to adopt a dog who's been wandering around the valley. Of course I accept and welcome a new friend onto the farm. Before I rush off to the mines, my field of parsnips is ready for harvest, but instead of selling them, I saved the gold quality ones for the bundle and kept the rest for food in the mines. I'm greeted by Marlon as I try and enter the mines, who offers me a sword for protection, which is much appreciated as I would die without it. I made it all the way down to floor 17, in which I have a horrific but funny interactions with the flying bugs as I try and find a staircase which nearly killed them, as I just refuse to kill them. Have a look. Around 12 PM I finished on floor 20, completing a successful mining trip. I remembered to leave a furnace by the entrance, which means I could smell tours as I came to empty my inventory, which wrapped up a really good day 5. Day 6 begins with a request from Marlin asking me to slay 10 slimes in the mine for some gold. I remembered to plant some carrot seeds I had dug a few days ago, and it was at this point I remembered that I missed the travelling cart yesterday, and in order to achieve a completed community centre in 100 days, the travelling cart was going to be essential in making that happen, as it's the only place to obtain the red cabbage seed, as Pierre only sells it in year 2. The cart also offers a bunch of more difficult items, such as the truffle and the rabbit's foot, and me missing even one travelling cart can prove to be a huge mistake. As soon as I walk into town, Lewis shows me around the abandoned community centre, and it was one of my goals to fully repair it in the 100 days. I read the unreadable scroll and proceed to Pierre's to buy some potato seeds for more gold and farming experience. I managed to get enough copper bars yesterday to send off my pickaxe to Clint to have it upgraded. I then spent most of the day, you guessed it, fishing. I managed to set up on the pier and have a nice chest, and fish my heart away. I managed to reach fishing level 5, which meant the fish could now be sold for 25% more, which was perfect for early game gold. I begin the day doing the usual farming chores, as well as receiving a letter from the wizard asking me to visit him in his tower to help me read the scrolls from yesterday. On the way I passed the travelling cart, which sold me nothing useful. After a quick trip to the wizard, I head into town to give Mayor Lewis a gift for his birthday. I then completed my first bundle in the community centre, the foraging bundle, which opened the pantry room, which gives me more bundles to work towards. A quick stop to Pierre's later, and I spent all of my gold on 44 potatoes. And although it would be a good source of, gold and farming experience, it then meant the return of the annoying watering. I made sure to get the potatoes into the ground before I spent most of my energy and the rest of the day fishing up in the mountains. That smooth spring breeze on day 8 means I have officially made it past my first full week in Stardew Valley 1.6, without crushing my keyboard because of bugs in the mines or being ridiculed by Haley, thank God. I of course started the day watering my fields of potatoes and attending to my animals. These are the basic farm chores that I'll be doing every day, but I won't keep mentioning it in order it being too repetitive. The return of my pickaxe from Clint meant it was time to jump back into the mines in hopes of getting even further down than before. With my new shiny pickaxe in hand, I managed to get down a total of 15 new floors, leaving me on floor 35 in the mines by 10 PM. Of course popping up on occasions to smelt more bars. Not much happened today, but nonetheless a very successful day, meaning I reached a total of mining level 2. I started day 9 by realising that you actually have to put water into the pet bowl in order to increase the friendship. I swear I have never done this, ever. Comment, please tell me how long have you been able to do this, or is this a new feature of 1.6? Of course, my new discoveries couldn't slow me down from getting deeper into the mines today, and I spent most of the day doing so. Around 9 PM I managed to make it to the frozen levels of the mines, and ended on floor 45, which I decided to call quits due to the lack of energy I had. This meant I could now get my hands on iron, which is another important resource in Stardew Valley for all sorts of crafting. Hear me out, I'm no means a Stardew Valley pro, but I would like to think I've gotten off to a really good start considering it's been over a year since I've picked up the game, and I'm not even clay farming for gold either. Anyway, I awaken on day 10 with more determination than ever to get further down in the mines. In my trips in the mines, I'm presented with a red flannel shirt from the mines enemy, which is very weird and must be new in the 1.6 update. I do decide to call it quits on floor 50 however, and spend most of the rest of the day harvesting wood, mining rocks and heading down to Cindersap to collect forageables. I ended up levelling up most of my skills today, such as combat and mining, but the big one was fishing level 6, which presented me with a bait maker, which I had never seen before and must be a new item in 1.6. I proceed to do most of my daily chores on day 11 and fill my inventory with community centre items to drop off. I wanted to do this to prevent me from shipping any important items off later. I was notified on the calendar that there was a bookseller in town today, a completely new NPC shop introduced in 1.6. Checking it out, I saw a bunch of books which seemed to give the player more skills, and the one I had my eye on was the prize catalogue, which meant you could see the value of your items, which I had to use a mod for before. Although the prices were way too high for me right now, so I had to say goodbye to him and visit him when I had some more gold. I also changed the type of bobber I can use to a smiley face one, which is a new feature of this update. I ended up fishing at a bubble spot just next to the Joja Mart and fished up my first deluxe bait and tested it out. It no doubt provided a huge boost in the speed in which the fish were biting and would prove essential for fishing later on. And typical me spent the rest of the day fishing up at the mountains for more gold and making sure to drop off some fish at the fish tank bundle along the way. The loud noise on my farmhouse roof today meant only one thing: rain, which helped me by watering my crops, saving me some important energy. Of course, it was another Friday, which meant travelling cart today, and did sell a tiger trowel, but I didn't decide to buy it as it was 900 gold and was a bit pricey for me at the moment. The rest of my day consisted of me donating more items to the museum and receiving melon seeds by Marlon as a reward for my efforts. However, they are completely useless right now as they can't grow in spring, but in summer instead. I thought a good use of my time would be to lay out where I'm going to place my sprinklers when I get them. The only issue is that they are locked behind farming level 6, which meant I had to keep planting and harvesting my crops if I wanted to have quality sprinklers. I then tested my luck in the mines, which led me to floor 60 when I called it quits. Day 13 was the day of the first potato harvest, with the hopes of reaching farming level 6. Oh, how wrong was I? After harvesting 41 potatoes, it only put me at farming level 3. This is when I noticed a new little message pops up every time you level up. You have some new ideas to sleep on. A nice little touch to the game. Of course, fans of the game will recognise Spring 13 as the day of the Egg Festival, where the town gets together to celebrate, and for the more hardcore fans, where you as a grown man get to show your dominance over the local children who are just trying to have a fun day. It's here I get to purchase as many strawberry seeds as possible, as they are by far the best spring crop. Before I start the egg hunt, I finish introducing myself to the locals and begin to embarrass their fellow egg hunters. I finished the hunt with a whopping 12 eggs, which was way more than enough to make sure Jazz and Vincent eat dirt to claim my straw hat. I made sure to plant my strawberries before I go to bed to ensure they have the most time to grow. Day 14 marks the official halfway through my first month in the 1.6 update, and after one of the best night's sleep since my arrival on the farm, I start the day with an excellent can-do attitude, knowing I'll never be looked at the same by the locals, after they saw a grown man shove children into the dirt in order to win an egg hunt. I love society. I remembered to check the travelling cart today, and she was selling a quality sprinkler, which I ended up buying as it would help me significantly when it comes to watering, and was cheap for travelling cart standards. Of course, today I realised it was Hayley's birthday, which then I made sure to drop everything in order to give her a daffodil, which she actually liked. Well, I'm surprised. She didn't throw it back in my face. I then fished up one of the best treasure chests I've ever seen this early on, a fire quartz, emerald, and a goddamn dinosaur egg. This alongside the 5 gold ore I fished up earlier meant I could complete the minecart bundle in the community centre without even having to reach the lava floors, which is just insane. I begin day 15 like any other day, watering and tending to my animals. However, due to it being a really lucky day today, it led to me going straight back into the mines to smelt more ore and charge down more floors. Today an enemy dropped a plant. A whole plant. Like, where were you even hiding that? Anyway, I made it down to floor 75 today in the mines without dying, so, even better. Not much to comment on today, just remember smelting a ton of ores every time I can and building up an empire of bars in my chest for all the sprinklers I want to start making. Today I started with a harvest of my 9 cauliflowers, which was needed to complete the bundles. Spring 16, as some would know, is also the beginning of salmonberry season, which means that salmonberries would spawn naturally on bushes all over the valley, offering the player a great source of energy in large quantities, essential for early mine runs. I walk into Pierre's today to spot the local owner of the Jojo Mart, Morris, taking away all of Pierre's customers with a huge discount. What loyal people they are, huh? I purchased more potato seeds from him to hopefully boost me up the later farming levels to unlock the quality sprinklers. I then make sure to plant those potatoes and spend the rest of the day tying up loose ends by donating more items to the community centre, such as free bars and more gems. Along the way I'm making sure to collect any salmon berries to help me restore energy with all this watering I'm having to do. I also begin the construction of a very basic tree farm, as they'll be essential in setting up tappers for oak resin and need to craft hundreds of kegs for millions of gold later on. I'm helped by Mother Nature on day 17 when I awaken to rain allowing me to skip watering my plants. One of my chickens produced a large egg today, which meant I had another item to donate to the community centre. I decided to spend the early mornings of day 17 killing slimes for a quest. This is also when an enemy drops the red star hat, which I can't decide if it looks like an afro or Toad's head from Mario. Alongside smelting ores, I'm also smelting quartz to refine quartz, which is another ingredient to craft the quality sprinklers I need. The solar essence dropped from the ghost gave me the last material I needed to finish the boiler room bundle and unlock the minecarts. I watched the Junimos dance as they fully restored the boiler room to its original form. With this unlocked, it means I can now use the aforementioned minecarts, which are helpful in moving around the valley in shorter time. As mentioned before, I'm no pro, but honestly, unlocking the minecarts on day 17 is spectacular for my estimations. Of course, I got very lucky getting a fire quartz and 5 gold ore, but it's still something. I spent the rest of my day chopping trees on the farm and clearing out some areas to work with. I was still very confused on where the farm cave was, and both the warp totems and Grandpa's shrine. I'm greeted again by more rain on day 18, with my steel pickaxe ready to collect from Clint, which I totally forgot to mention I dropped off a couple days ago. This shiny new pickaxe meant it'd be even easier to traverse the caverns, and as expected, I spent most of day 18 in the mines testing out my new pickaxe, alongside a new sharp dagger I recently obtained on some skeletons. One of the skeletons dropped the bone sword, which took me over a minute to realise I got. Just watch this. This new sword meant the monsters were a lot less of a threat to me now. It's today I make it down to floor 90, which is a whole 15 floors, which is crazy. Floor 90 presents me with the obsidian edge, a far better sword than my new one, so say goodbye to the bone sword. It lasted me a solid 10 minutes. Overnight I reached mining level 5, which granted me the choice of miner, which provided 1 more ore per vein, or geologist, which meant the chances for gems to appear in pairs. I chose geologist, of course, as the chance for double diamonds and jades is always better for gold and staircases later on. Today being Friday meant it was another travelling cart day, and it proved to be one of the best travelling carts ever. It contained the red cabbage seed, a crop which 99% of all year 1 community centre runs fail on, as it's pure luck, and I wasn't even playing on guarantee 1 year completion either, which made this cart a saving grace. Getting this before summer also meant that I could plant it without needing the greenhouse, but on my fields during the summer. And also, what is that price? Is it always that cheap? 200 gold is crazy. As you can see, I froze when I saw it. It was just pure shock. I've never had this much luck in a run ever. I proceeded to then once again spend most of the day in the caverns, a boring and repetitive section, but finishing the mines will give me access to all of the ores and minerals the game has to offer, and is useful to ensure maximum progress. I finished the day on floor 100 after being forced to cut short due to a monster floor on 103. Not all is dull, however. Now I had the red cabbage seed ready to plant as soon as summer rolls around. Alongside that, on floor 100 I got my first star drop of the run, giving me a much needed energy boost. Around 10 PM I hopped off to the community centre to donate a few more items instead of one big trip due to my lack of inventory space. I made sure to buy a beer at the saloon because it was Shane's birthday today. Day 20 starts as the same as every other day, with me conducting my daily farm chores, still ecstatic over the fact I managed to get a red cabbage seed this early. With nothing else to do at this stage, I jumped into the mines with the goal of reaching the bottom. However, after some close calls in the mines, reaching the bottom will have to wait until tomorrow as the monsters were too much for me, and I left on floor 110. I remembered at the last second to give Shane his beer for his birthday I brought yesterday. Luckily, he was walking by the saloon at 12 AM. I managed to reach combat level 5 overnight, giving me the choice of fighter, which meant all attacks would now deal 10% more damage, or scout, which increased the critical strike chance by 50%. Not knowing which one's really better, I opted for fighter, as the more damage the better. Day 21 marks exactly 3 weeks into the 100 days, and even better, I awakened to a field full of strawberries ready for harvest, which still wasn't enough to reach farming level 6 to unlock the quality sprinklers I need. However, this is the day I made the biggest mistake of the entire 100 days. It being a Sunday meant travelling cart day, and she was selling a truffle. This meant I could skip spending 25,000 gold on a deluxe barn and 16,000 gold on a pig. However, I decided as I'm doing so well, that money won't be a problem. Oh, how wrong was I? Again. Would this one mistake cost me in finishing the community centre, making my goal impossible? Keep watching to find out. Furthermore, I even sold cloth, which would allow me to skip getting a sheep or a rabbit, which both require a deluxe coop and a barn. I ignored it, too. How could I get so lucky with the travelling car and just ignore it? I'm not so sure. However, I proceeded into Pierre's and sell my strawberries, giving me enough gold for the backpack upgrade, which is only 2,000 gold, making my ongoing inventory issue solved for now. I then make it my goal to finish the mines once and for all, which I did in due time and received the skull key from the bottom chest. I don't think I've ever completed the mines this quickly. My best is late summer, but spring 21 was great. What is the quickest time you've ever reached the bottom of the mine? Please tell me in the comments, I'm just curious. Day 22 brings me another potato harvest, which still doesn't level me up, meaning that quality sprinklers are going to have to wait until summer, as there isn't much time left in the season. Which is a shame really, as my entire plan for spring was to secure sprinklers as soon as possible. It is today, however, where I find where the farm cave is, and it's actually fairly hidden in comparison to some of the other farm variants. Compared to yesterday, today I had much more of a laid back day on the farm, as I was just checking off some loose ends. I went to catch some fish I hadn't caught yet, donated a chub and a purple mushroom to the bundles. The bookseller was back in town today, but I decided to ignore it as the prices were still way too much for me right now, and there wasn't anything I wanted from him anyway. After a very lacklustre day, I decided to call it in early and get some much deserved rest. We are now on the last stretch until summer, and I wanted to make sure I'm as prepared as possible for the change in seasons. This basically consisted of making sure I've caught all the spring exclusive fish, and I checked if I'd collected enough spring forage, as when the change in seasons arrive, they will no longer be able to spawn and be obtainable until next year. I collected my upgraded axe from Clint today and was ready to mine the smaller big stumps on the farm to collect 10 pieces of hardwood for the construction bundle, allowing me to tick off another one. This last week was one of the most boring weeks, as there wasn't really enough time to plant anything and I had already reached the bottom of the mines. However, you are working towards perfection, there is always something to do. So I decided it was a good time to farm some iron by resetting floor 45 in the mines. This floor also spawned dust sprites, which have a chance to drop coal, a resource I see myself running out of quite a lot in the run. Killing dust sprites also works towards the monster slaying goal, which I need to fully complete in order to achieve perfection, so every monster I kill does count. I finished the day by losing the rest of my energy to remove some trees on the farm, and that ended a successful day 23. Day 24 began with me trying to take my geodes over to Clint, as I had quite a lot over the past couple days. Although I'm greeted by a message saying Clint's locked, and then I realised that spring 24 is the day of the flower dance and presented me with a perfect opportunity to express to Hayley how I feel and ask her to dance. And she said, "I refuse to speak about the flower dance ever. I will now be ridiculed by the whole town." As you can imagine, the pain was anything like I had ever experienced in my entire life. But was immediately turned upside down by the field of strawberries on my farm. To make things even better, there was just enough to level me up to farming level 6, meaning I can now craft quality sprinklers, which distracted my mind from the events of yesterday. I then rushed to Clint to crack open some geodes I tried to do yesterday, and he found me a prismatic shard. This meant as soon as I unlock the desert, I can get my hands on the Galaxy's Edge, one of the best weapons in the game. I then took a quick trip to Robin's to find out that you can now in 1.6 move the farmhouse, the dog bowl, and the shipping bin, which is crazy. I then used the new land from where my farmhouse was to construct an even bigger tree farm to help easily tap every tree I need to get hands on oak resin, maple syrup, and pine tar, all useful craftables. I plant the tree seeds between the wooden paths to prevent any extra trees growing and getting in the way, which makes it look more presentable than just a group of trees really. Whilst chopping down some trees, there was a lot of new material called moss, which I didn't know existed, and it was pretty useless right now, but definitely an interesting feature in the new update. I wake up confused on day 26, as it definitely felt weird since I moved the farmhouse, but nonetheless meant overnight I learnt the crafting recipe for the quality sprinklers, and proceeded to craft a whopping 14 of them, and began to plan out the fields for the most optimal placement and ensure all tiles get harvested. Unfortunately, it was going to have to wait until summer to get sprung into action, but nonetheless was a huge upgrade to the farm. This meant next season I could have fields of crops fully operational without any input from me. Being a Friday, I checked the travelling cart to find me a sturgeon, which was good, but I wanted to save as much gold as possible to buy as many summer seeds as I can, so I decided to say no. I realised that it was gold that is the main reason I can't craft any more sprinklers, which led me to farm the rest of the day in the mines. At the end of the day I come away with over 50 gold ore, which ends a successful day. Day 27 marks the penultimate day of the season, and I spent most of it farming for copper in the mines. As copper is vital in most of the best farming items in the entire game, such as tappers, kegs and more, and having a big stockpile will drastically help me later down the line when I craft my empire of kegs. I spend most of the day resetting floor 30 in the mines to get as much copper as possible. I then spend some time checking off some old help wanted quests I still had and managed to get my first prize ticket. I had no idea what it was, but it told me to bring this in Lewis's house for a reward, so I did. After wandering into his house, I found a prize machine which, inserting a ticket, gave me Pacifica rewards. This new feature in 1.6 soon turns out to be one of my most favourite features in this update. It provides the player with so many cool rewards for completing special orders and help wanted tasks, and making them much worth to complete now. The machine gave me 12 of another new crop, the summer squash, making those 2 out of the 4 new crops found. I also noticed that the next prize is a tree sapling, which would be a great boost for me if I can't get my hands on another prize ticket. Overall, I love this feature. I leveled up to foraging level 4 later, learning the recipe for the tapper, which I was sure to make a great deal of. Also, the new mushroom log, which I won't totally forget exists. So, here we are, the final day of spring. Today I basically had a bunch of errands to tick off, making sure I did everything that I needed to do before summer, as there wouldn't be another chance to collect the season exclusive items. For the first time today I also ventured into the fruit cave and collected a wild plum, a berry which I could donate to the community centre. However, before that, keeping up to the Sunday routine meant checking the travelling cart. Today's cart was awful, giving me nothing to use at all. I was considering the rare seed, but I'd have to wait till fall to grow it anyway, so I wouldn't waste the gold on it now. I made sure to bring enough wood to repair the broken bridge on the beach today to get my hands on the coral and the sea urchin, which are unobtainable without fixing it. I then looked into making the bait maker and saw it required both coral and sea urchins, which was perfect as I was already halfway to making one. I went back to the farm in the early afternoon to craft some more sprinklers for more crop space. I quite like the look of it in the end. I really had nothing else to do at the end of spring, so I filled my inventory with summer seeds I had and waited till summer arrives next morning. The warm air hits my face as soon as I wake up this morning, letting me know that it was officially summertime. I wasted no time to clear the debris off the farm which grew overnight and start hoeing in new places for my crops to go. In my new field I now had 20 sprinklers covering 8 tiles each. You do the math. Summer is up there for one of my most favourite seasons, as the valley is bright, the NPCs are happy, I'm happy, and I love the variety of crops the summer season offers. Of course, a new season brings new forage for me to find, which I made a priority in order to not forget to collect them for the community centre. I ran straight into PS to purchase one of each seed alongside 12 melons and 125 blueberry seeds, and if my calculations were correct, it should be just enough to fill my entire field. I made sure to plant the red cabbage right next to the scarecrow just in case any annoying crow decides to eat it. It caused me tremendous suffering. My calculations were exactly correct, which meant not a single seed spare. I also tried to put some basic quality fertiliser over the melons to try and get the 5 quality gold ones, because I didn't get 5 quality gold parsnips, meaning I now have to get 5-star melons, corn and pumpkins. Then I also requested a silo to be constructed from robins, as it was a quest, plus I didn't want to waste the grass I was scything. I then took up to the mountain lake to catch some of the summer exclusive fish, which I hadn't caught before, for the fish tank bundle. I finished off the summer foraging bundle and received 30 summer seeds. I decided to sell them, however, as they do give you a decent amount of gold. I finished off day 29 by fishing in the ocean, you know, the usual. And that officially ends my first day in summer. Day 30 starts with the normal farm chores, however, because of my new sprinklers, that meant watering was off the cards for now. As I was scything in Cindersap Forest, I came across a new flower seeds, a new type of seed in 1.6. This does exactly what it says, grows into a random flower, which was interesting to say the least. I do end up planting it however, as every item will be useful at some point. I then craft my first couple tappers and place them onto the trees to get started with the various resources. I also found an orange today in the fruit bat cave, which I could then send straight to the community centre bundle. After a slower day 30, I wanted to get off to it on the front foot today, which began with me crafting another tapper to add to the new tree that just grew to full size overnight. I then asked Robin to move my coop in order for me to fit a barn into the pen, although when I went to place the barn, a chicken was frozen in the way, meaning I had to trap it and place it in front of the chicken. Annoyingly, this meant I'd have to go back to Robin's another day and move it one tile backwards. The struggles of being a farmer, eh? I then commissioned my hoe to get an upgrade, as I won't be needing it for a while and, might as well. I then did exactly what I know and love, fishing in the ocean, and I managed to catch 2 pufferfish. One of them was needed for the specialty fish bundle. The pufferfish has always been the odd one out on the fish bundle, as a sandfish requires to be caught in the desert, the woodskip in the secret woods, and the ghostfish in the mines, but for some reason the pufferfish is just in the ocean. No effort to catch it. I wake up on day 32 to a loud clashing noise to hear Robin working on my new barn as soon as I wake up. Is she okay? She never leaves the farm for over 2 days. I made sure to donate some loose items to the community centre to prevent me accidentally selling them. And as I'm strolling through the valley, I hear some splashes, which I assume is the ocean, but then I see in the river some sunfish splashing around. This must be another new feature where randomly a certain fish is more common when you see these around the valley. It's the fun little features which I love the most. I check out Willie's to see a new sonar bobber which allows you to see what fish it is you're catching, which is super cool. I then see out the rest of the day fishing in the river to catch a new fish such as the dorado, pike and bream. Overnight I quickly see that another tree has grown, so I quickly crafted a tapper to put straight on. I then swiftly check the farm caves for any new fruit that it may have. I'm primarily looking for a pomegranate and apples, as growing a whole tree for one pomegranate is quite annoying early on. I did check the travelling cart and purchased a shrimp to help me complete the crab pot bundle, and setting them up crab pots to get the correct item can be quite annoying. I then spot another Help Wanted quest offering me another prize ticket, which I took. I'd like to believe everything happens for a reason, and every little thing is a sign in this game. Which is why the Stardew Valley gods gave me this item for their appreciation, and gave me an item that represents me quite well. Yes, the garbage hat, a crazy chance of happening. I then picked up my new copper hoe and set my axe straight off for upgrading to steel. The shrimp I brought from the cart allowed me to complete the crab pot bundle and receive 3 crab pots. I then check out the completely new open spa, which is useless and a waste of time. I then made it my priority to complete the Help Wanted quest with Penny for another prize ticket. I took my newly earned ticket straight to the machine and earned a peach sapling. I saw that reward for completing was actually a new sort of purple tea, which turned out to be very important in achieving perfection later down the line. I thought good use of my time at the end of the day was to clear some more debris off my farm, as I was planning on expanding soon and needed all the rocks and trees gone off the land. The day of day 33 ends in a cutscene which shows Mr. Keener playing dropping off these mystery boxes. And is it just me, but did anyone else find this message ominous, almost scary? Why is it written and said like that? Day 34 began with me filling my inventory with some of the items to drop off at the community centre, a process I like to do every few days to keep a manageable track on my progress. I do find a lonely blackberry in the farm cave today which will go nicely in the 4th foraging bundle. I then waited outside Marnie's to purchase a cow and also enough hay for the fodder bundle. I donated an orange, bream, blackberry, hot pepper and hay into the community centre. I then spent some time in the mines farming some more iron and coal from dust sprites, as I was running fairly low on those materials. I end the mining trip with 124 pieces of iron ore and 47 coal. Very successful indeed. I wake up on day 5 with a strange phenomenon happening across the valley. This new green rain appears to be coming from the sky, causing all sorts of anomalies across the farm. Moss has grown everywhere, giant fibres are everywhere, these new swirling trees are visible. Even the normal trees appear to be bigger. What is going on? I checked my mailbox to find a letter from Gus letting the town know that he's keeping the saloon open all day as an emergency shelter for those scared or displaced by the green rain. Confused as ever, I rush over to the saloon to check up on my fellow villagers to see if everyone was okay. I speak to Haley, who seems to not give 2 craps about it. Fair enough. And Emily believes it's down to a strong presence, whatever that means. Even Pierre isn't working and is taking cover in his shop. I then realised that this was a great opportunity to farm moss, tons of fibres, and it's exactly what I did. Without even knowing what's going on, I spend the next 15 minutes harvesting the fibres and moss and taking full advantage of the event, as I knew how annoying fibres are. Whatever that was, I wasn't sure, but I went to bed early to make sure it doesn't carry over into the next day. Weird. Day 36 was normal again, so I proceeded to carry on as usual, trying to forget the events of yesterday. I went to go check on my cow, which proceeded to flip me off as he had no food and was mad at me. I collected my steel axe from Clint and asked him to process some geodes for me. The more geodes I crack open, the closer I'm getting to completing the museum. Now with my steel axe in hand, I break the giant log blocking the entrance to the secret woods and proceed to harvest the logs in there. I also found a monster compendium book, which apparently had already been used. These books must be another new feature in the 1.6 update, allowing the user new skills and abilities if read. While I was there, I remembered to fish up the wood skip for the specialty fish bundle, and grab some fiddlehead ferns as well. Killing the slimes in there dropped 2 maple seeds, which would allow me to grow trees that drop hardwood, which is really useful for the 200 pieces of hardwood needed to fix the boat to Ginger Island. Later on the farm, after chopping a tree, I was given another new book, granting me more wood drops per tree. Nice. I crafted up some more tappers and called it a night for day 36. I started the day with some sunflowers, which I decided to grow overnight. I would love to keep them as they are a love gift for Hayley, but after the humiliation at the flower dance, I don't think I can forgive her. Tell me, for 200 days, should I forgive Hayley? Or should I take revenge and marry her sister? Anyway, today was another community centre run day, and I had a bunch of new items to fill in, such as a sunflower and the wood skip. I am noticing, however, that the trees across the valley have still been covered in moss from the green rain event a few days ago. I make my way back to the farm to uncover the location of the farm warp totem and Grandpa's shrine. The walkways were hidden by tons of debris, such as trees and bushes. I was then intrigued to make the new bait maker, as it was fairly cheap and it seemed to prove quite useful for my fishing endeavours. I craft it and it provides bait for whatever fish you put in it, so for the upcoming Trout Derby event this will be useful in ensuring I catch as many rainbow trout as possible. Today, however, I'm gifted the fully grown summer squash, which actually regrows after harvesting, which is good for some more passive gold. Additionally, my red cabbage is done today, meaning I have successfully completed one of the hardest community centre items in only summer 10, which is crazy to think about. However, I waste no time in ensuring that the red cabbage goes straight into the bundle, as I can see myself selling it on accident or trashing it. I proceeded to Robin's to purchase some more flooring to try and spice up and decorate the farm. After receiving my first mystery box on Mr. Key's drops, I took it to Clint's to open up and got a fried mushroom. What? I'm sure they aren't that bad, but it's free anyway, so I should be grateful, I guess. My inner designer came out later and I tried to add some new pathways and floors to the farm to change it up. I wanted to have a better place to store my items in various machines, so I created a basic floor design to store them on. Just to let you know, I didn't like this at all for a while, and I figured I was going to have to wait until more crafting recipes to make my farm look really nice. My plan was to wait until the last couple days of the 100 days to decorate my farm, as by then I'll have enough resources and gold to spend on it. Hopefully. And so the rest of day 38 consisted of me crafting a whole new storage place, with many more chests, as the current chests were beginning to fill up very rapidly. I awakened on day 39 with no crops grown. I did locate the new animal menu today, where it lets you see all your animals and pets and how many hearts you have with each of them, and whether you have petted them today. Another nice quality of life feature. I had no idea what to do today, but was interrupted by the new festival of Lualu, which I forgot was happening, so I didn't have anything for the soup apart from a tree seed, which meant the soup was bland, and the governor wasn't happy with it. However, jokes on them, I didn't touch the soup, which meant it was Marnie's rubbish cooking, not mine. Another Friday brings another cart day, which now has become ingrained in my head now due to how important it is. Although it was another bad cart, I did buy a hazelnut for the 4 foraging bundle, but there was also an iridium bar for 2,250 gold, which I didn't take for some reason. Surely that's not worth it, no? I craft myself a mayonnaise machine to turn my eggs from my chickens into mayonnaise for a bit of extra profit. Every little bit counts. Another quick trip to the community centre today starts day 40 as I just harvested a tomato and found an apricot from the farm cave. I also managed to catch a tilapia for the fish tank bundle while it was raining. The day basically turned into a poor attempt from me trying to be good at designing the farm. I did decide to add a new area to the left of the farmhouse for some more quality sprinklers in order to plant some more for the vast amounts of flower seeds and mix seeds I had on me, which went on well into the night, ending day 40. Today was another harvest of the new summer squashes, which are actually quite good money makers as they regrew only every few days, which give me a solid passive income. My melons are also ready today, providing me with the penultimate crop I needed for the summer crop bundle. The last one was blueberries, which should be ready tomorrow, which means Profit City. I also noticed it wasn't raining today. It was a thunderstorm. It led me to craft 5 lightning rods in order to start harvesting some batteries, but also to protect my crops from being destroyed. I gave Alex a field snack for his birthday, as that is a good liked gift for him, providing him much needed friendship points. As a reminder, I'm trying to give gifts out to villagers on birthdays as much as possible, even if I don't show it. Before midday, I make a quick stop at PS to purchase 14 more melon seeds, as well as an apple tree. As for the community centre, you need 4 apples in total, which is highly unlikely from the fruit cave, and so getting a tree down now should give me enough for the bundle. I then end the day collecting forage on the beach, as well as fishing in the ocean to catch a super cucumber. On the night of day 41, I'm greeted by the crop fairy, which helps the flowers grow. God damn it. I reach level 7 farming overnight, which provides me with the crafting recipe for the loom, which is completely useless without cloth anyway. I'm greeted in the mail by Pam asking me for pale ale, which I do the thing every Pam hater does, which is ignore it and trash the quest. Lots to do on the farm this morning, as my lightning rods have batteries for collection, as well as flowers and blueberries ready for harvest. This meant I can now complete the summer crop bundle, but also sell for tons of gold. I sell my blueberries to Pierre, putting me on a whopping 27,000 gold. Additionally, the cart sold a Nautilus shell today, one of the most annoying items to collect for the community centre, as it can only spawn on the beach in winter. But hey, my travelling cart luck continues. I rush into Robin's where I'm greeted to a cutscene of Maru, which I instantly skip. Who cares? I went to Robin's to purchase a big coop upgrade to begin getting ducks. I needed ducks for the egg and the feather. In an artifact spot right outside Robin's, I'm gifted a Stardew Valley Allomatic book, which provides some farming experience. I don't know about you all, but I really like this new feature. It makes levelling up slightly easier if you're lucky. I proceed to head to floor 20 in the mines to fish up the ghost fish for the specialty fish bundle. While I'm in the community centre, I remember to drop off a few more items. I didn't know that I'd spent days trying to fish up a shad in the river without knowing it had to be raining to get one. Obviously, you keen-eyed viewers would understand that I actually caught a shad in my first week, but sold it. This fish wasted so much of my time as I had no idea it had to be raining to catch it, and could have saved time if I just kept my original one. But that wraps up day 42, but just know I literally spent hours in-game hoping to catch a shad over the next 2 in-game weeks. I began the new week conducting various farm chores and checked up on Robin, who was hard at work in my new coop upgrade. Here again is another montage of me trying to catch a shad even though it isn't raining. I even tried to move upstream, like that was the damn problem me catching it in the first place. As you can see, there goes half a day trying to catch a fish that isn't even in the river. Nothing much happened throughout the day, just ticking off some old quests and tidying up around the farm. I checked my mail on the day of summer 16 to find Robin finished my coop upgrade overnight, which allowed me to purchase a duck, which I do in short time. Quick trip to Pierre's later, I grab 8 wheat seeds, as I needed 10 pieces of wheat to complete the fodder bundle. I make a trip to mine the hardwood stumps in the secret woods today. I try and do this every day I can, as we need a lot of hardwood in the future. I then find I had some moss seeds, which should allow me to grow those weird moss trees I saw the night of the green rain. Clearing out some debris later, I found an owl statue, which must have happened the day I wasn't aware of. I wake up on day 45 to find out I reached level 8 farming, which allowed me to craft kegs, the best way of making money in the entire game. The area of industrial has now arrived. I head straight to Marnie's in the morning of day 45 to purchase a duck for my new big coop. This would allow me to begin working towards a duck egg and a duck feather. As I pass the help wanted board, I pick up a quest from Clint requesting I harvest 40 copper ore in exchange for a prize ticket. A quest I must do. Before heading up to the farm, I stop by Robin's to commission a big barn upgrade. This would allow me to get goats to purchase the goat's cheese for the artisan bundle. I finished late into the night collecting over 60 copper and 50 iron for my troubles. That night I reached foraging level 7, allowing me to craft tree fertilizer. Day 46 brings me much excitement as I see my blueberries are ready for harvest once again, meaning we can move back to Prophet City. Before shipping off my crops to Pierre, I make sure to stop by Clint's to pick up my new copper watering can, and also to collect the prize ticket from the quest. While I'm there, I ask him to smash open some more geodes I collected yesterday to try and collect more artifacts from the museum. Next up, we'll lose his prize machine, which I received one of the worst prizes, 10 mixed seeds. But it was free, so who can complain? I made sure to sell all my produce at Pierre's, which put me on 28,000 gold. And to begin another fishing segment for the shad. I kid you not, I had no idea that it had to be raining to catch a shad. So watch me fish again, confused on why I'm unable to catch one. I gave up fairly quickly and purchased 25,000 gold Vault Bundle and a 2000 Gold Bundle. This granted me with a Crystallarium, which would be extremely useful in duplicating my jades for staircases, which you can trade to the Desert Trader for the Skull Caverns. I wrap up my day mining hardwood stubs in the Secret Woods, as well as placing jade inside the Crystallarium. I'm rewarded on day 47 500 gold by the Mayor for being voted the best neighbour for my efforts in completing the Help Wanted quests. I ended up pushing Yogi out the way while he was deep in a slumber as he was in the way of my letterbox. Sorry, dog. I checked the travelling cart today for what it had in store for me. Not much, but I did buy a purple mushroom as I did need it for another exotic foraging bundle in the community centre. I donated it straight to the community centre, finishing that bundle. I then spent the whole rest of the day in the mines farming some iron. Very boring, very tiring. Day 48 and the day of the new festival, the Trout Derby. After doing some research, crafting a bait maker and making rainbow trout bait is the best and quickest way to accumulate lots of rainbow trout tickets. The goal of the event is every rainbow trout you fish up has a chance to contain a token, which you can trade into the trader for a random assortment of items. For most of the day I used the bait maker technique to make sure I had the best opportunity to obtain as many tokens as possible. I had no idea how long the event was going to last. I made sure to fish as fast as possible in order to not miss out on some of the prizes. After turning in 4 tokens, I received 3 Omni Geodes, 3 Farm Warp Totems and a new tent kit, and a bucket hat which I promptly equipped to immerse myself in the ways of the fisherman. I ended up staying most of the day and walking away with 3 more mystery boxes, a fish display picture, a quality sprinkler. The new tent kit item was interesting as it let the player set their spawn anywhere for a one-time use. This would be really useful in events where there is a time limit and getting there sooner is a priority. Overall, not a bad event, and it runs over 2 days. It's nice to gather a few useful items such as geodes for artifact troves and mystery boxes. And that ends a beautiful summer 20, only 8 to go before the change in season. Day 49 starts with a quick errand run with me ticking off some chores that need to be done. My first stop is the community centre, where I donated a hot pepper, maple syrup and 10 pieces of wheat for the various bundles. I also asked Clint to crack open some geodes and mystery boxes, which I gained from the Trout Derby. Another lucky travelling cart day today with the cart selling a large goat milk. This would allow me to completely skip having to buy a goat entirely in order to get the milk for the animal bundle. I head down to the river to collect some more tickets for my Trout Derby event, which runs over the course of the 2 days. Today is the day, however, I catch my mortal enemy, the shad, by complete accident. Due to it raining today meant shads would spawn in the river, and luckily I was fishing for a rainbow trout and managed to hook one up. I waste no time in making sure the shad goes straight into the river fish bundle, making sure I don't end up shipping it again. The fences for my animals were down, so I tried to fix them with hardwood fences, realising they don't connect to the normal fences, and so my pen has gaps in it for some time until I give it a chance to change them all. I finished the day harvesting some stumps in the Secret Woods, smelting some ores in the furnace, and more general farm chores. I awaken on the halfway stage of the 100 days to a sea of blue in my fields, noticing that my blueberries are ready for harvest, as well as the new summer squashes and sunflowers. For the first time in the challenge, my duck produces its first duck egg, which will be going straight into the animal bundle. As it may seem, a lot of these days are often repetitive, as there isn't much for me to do right now apart from the general farm chores. I make sure to sell my blueberries to Pierre's, which puts me at 24,000 gold, enough for me to finish the Vault Bundle, unlocking the desert. In excitement for the opportunity to now access the desert, I made sure to prepare the best I can. I crafted 14 bombs and remembered to pick up my prismatic shard in it to unlock the galaxy's edge as soon as I arrive in the desert. Ending the day early saw me reach farming level 9, unlocking the seed maker, alongside watching the Junimos dance and fix up the bus to the desert. Day 51 began with me filling my inventory with all the best food items I have to make a quick trip into the Skull Caverns and begin to obtain some iridium ore to turn into iridium bars. Unfortunately, at the moment I don't have any desert warp totems, which means I'm going to have to wait until 10 AM until Pam arrives to take me to the desert. Ah, the desert. One of my most favourite places in all of Stardew Valley. I head straight into the oasis to introduce myself to Sandy and see what she is selling. I noticed she sells these new mannequins introduced in 1.6, which would be a fun decoration piece in the future. I waste no time, however, heading straight over to the 3 pillars to obtain the Galaxy Sword. And in case you didn't know, taking a prismatic shard to this location grants you one of the best weapons in the game, so don't donate your first prismatic shard. But don't forget to fish in the small lake to obtain the sandfish, which is what I needed to complete the specialty fish bundle in the community centre. I enter the small cave in the top left of the desert and spot a new skull shrine. I have no idea what it does. Please enlighten me in the comments. However, for now, I placed the skull-shaped key into the lock to enter the Skull Caverns, one of the hardest mines in the game, filled with dangerous monsters, but lots of loot. It doesn't last long, however, as I get quite low on health, and in a panic I walk back to the farm on floor 10. Those damn serpents do so much damage. Not all is bad, however, as I can now finish the specialty fish bundle alongside some exotic foraging bundles with the newly obtained cactus fruit and coconut. I start day 52 with a letter from Mr. Key requesting me to reach level 25 in the Skull Caverns, in which he will significantly reward me if I do so. Before that, I get together my resources and begin my great keg empire. I do run out of wood quickly though, and I only craft 11 kegs with many more on the way. I want to have as many as possible, as I wanted to keg pumpkins when I can, as pumpkin juice is a big moneymaker. I commissioned Clint to smash open some more Omni Geodes I obtained from the Skull Caverns to receive my second prismatic shard, which amongst other things I handed to Gunther in the museum. I remembered to hand Elliot a gift which he requested in order to complete a quest. I also tried again to expand my farm path design, which turns out badly again. Chopping and changing the design really filled up the rest of my day, as I couldn't decide what looked good and what didn't. I do expand the crop fields a little bit in time for the change of the seasons, which allowed me to plant more crops, which meant more gold. I wake up on day 53 to the total destruction of my animal pens, which I promptly ignore for now and let them roam free around the farm. I do make sure to head to Clint's early on to purchase some coal, as I was quickly running out and I couldn't be bothered to farm for days on end. While I'm there, I requested that Clint upgrades my hoe to steel, as I wanted it upgraded while I wasn't using it for the new season. I spent the whole rest of the day farming for copper by resetting floor 10 in the mines. It's raining on day 54, but despite the bad weather, my fields of blueberries are ready to harvest. Obviously this would be the last harvest of the season, but it would provide me with enough gold to purchase hundreds of full seeds when the season changes over. I thought for now would be a good time to buy a rare seed from the travelling car, as it's going to be planted in fall and take a whole season to grow. I needed one to obtain the secret star drop in the secret woods. However, I do cave in today and craft a bunch of hardwood fences in order to fix the animal pen to stop them from escaping again. And for the last 2 days of the season, I just spend them doing boring chores preparing me for the change in seasons. I craft 4 preserve jars in order to begin making jelly and also fill my kegs with summer squashes. I also managed to catch some more exclusive summer fishes for recipes later on. I didn't forget to donate some items to the community centre as well. The Sunday travelling cart didn't offer me much, but I did buy one more rare seed as a spare for shipping every item for perfection. I made sure over the next 2 days to chop stumps in the secret forest to keep up my hardwood storage, after spending so much on the fences on day 54. Nothing more to say, just a fairly boring last 2 days of summer. I was planning to head to the dance of the moonlight jellies, but completely forgot. What a surprise. The beginning of fall, my favourite season in all of Stardew. No time to wait, however, as I had dead crops to clean up, debris to remove and fields to hoe. I head straight to Pierre's to purchase myself some full seeds to see that a quest for George is offering another prize token, which I just had to take. I made sure to buy one of each seed for the bundles and 140 pumpkins and as many cranberry seeds I can get. Only buying 58 because of how expensive they are at 240 gold apiece. I promptly rush back to the farm to get them in the ground in order to give them as much time to grow as possible. I also plant my 2 rare seeds to begin growing them too. Also, one of those weird moss trees grew overnight, which I planted ages ago, and after mining it only gave me some fiddlehead ferns and moss. Not that useful. I make sure to collect all of the full forage to complete the full foraging bundle, leaving me with only the snow yam and the crocus for the winter bundle until I have full access to the greenhouse, allowing me to grow crops throughout this year regardless of the season. I headed down to the river to catch a tiger trout today, as I needed it for the fish tank bundle, which I ended up catching first try, which was a surprise. I took the tiger trout straight to the fish tank bundle, allowing me to finish the river fish bundle, rewarding me with the deluxe bait, which is always useful. Today is when I realised I made one of the biggest mistakes in the run, and yes, it does involve fish again. The last remaining fish I needed for the fish tank bundle was the walleye and eel. Both of them can be caught in fall, but it has to be raining. Today I have one clear mission in mind: catch them before I cannot anymore. I also make sure to have Clint open up some mystery boxes, which presents me with a magic rock candy, the best source of food in the entire game, as it boosts luck and is really useful in the Skull Caverns. In town, I'm greeted by Robin and Lewis building a new special orders board, which I immediately get distracted by and pick up a quest to do to kill bats in the mines. This distraction meant I completely forgot about the 2 rain exclusive fish I needed to catch. You're probably thinking, it's only fall 2, there's bound to be another rainy day somehow. Oh, how wrong you may be. And as you will see, it won't rain at all throughout the entirety of fall. Watch out to find how I obtain them. I spent the morning of day 59 back in the mines looking to slay more bats to finish the slay 50 bats quest from the special orders board. And that fills up the rest of the day, managed to arrive back on the farm in the evening. Not a very eventful day. Day 60 I receive a letter from Clint rewarding me for killing 50 bats with the recipe for the geode crusher, which when crafted would allow me to grind down my own geodes without having to travel to the shop to do so. I managed to pick up the purple star drop tea from Lewis's prize machine, which claims to be an extremely loved gift when given to any villager, which I would save for later for the more trickier villagers to max friendships such as Krobus and the dwarf. Make a quick stop at Pierre's to pick up some more crops I missed out on to make sure I have them all shipped for perfection. I ran out the day performing some basic farm chores by chopping some trees and clearing out more debris. It's Elliot's birthday on the day of day 61, so I wanted to make sure I had a lobster on me to give him later on, as a lobster is a love gift for him. I managed to head by the travelling cart today, which provided me with some useless items which I didn't pick up. I must have had a late night as I went straight home after checking the cart when I went to sleep. Something weird happens on the day of day 62, which is one of the most funniest things ever. Obviously I lost the footage for day 62, but not entirely, and as you can see I accidentally recorded the Steam homepage instead of the gameplay, so you can hear the game in the background but you can't see anything. Can you guess what I was doing today? Jesus, I don't know. Gameplay is back on day 63 and I'm actually doing my job right. Anyway, I plan to head back to the school caverns to trade in my 18 jades I've accumulated over the course of the playthrough for staircases for the school caverns. I waited patiently for over an hour in game to get Pan to get her lazy self up and on the bus. Arriving in the desert, I immediately pet the goodest camel in the world and trade in my 7 rubies for 7 spicy eels and jades for staircases. I plan to get at least to floor 25 to finish the request from Mr. Key. I only find one treasure floor which granted me the worst reward, the cowboy hat, which I ended up straight away trashing. After a very successful school caverns run, I end on floor 69. Nice. With 57 iridium ore and 3 prismatic shards. I managed to reach mining level 9 overnight and learn the recipe for crystallariums, great for duplicating jades. Mr. Key grants me 10,000 gold in the morning in the mail for completing his quest of reaching floor 25 in the school caverns, and grants me a new quest to meet him on floor 100 for a surprise. The first harvest of my cranberries begins today, with me receiving over 100 cranberries for kegging and to sell. Speaking of kegs, I craft up 8 more and fill them up with cranberries. It's also the beginning of blackberry season, and Linus has requested I find his blackberry basket and return it to him. I make a quick visit to the road tunnel to find his basket and quickly return it to him. On my way, I ask Robin to start construction on a deluxe barn, which would allow me to start homing pigs for some truffles, which I didn't buy from the travelling cart like I was an idiot. I pick up Lewis's crop order from the special orders, which require me to ship 100 grapes by the end of the season and receive a gold reward. I went straight over to Pierre's and brought 87 grape starters, which I assume would be way more than enough to complete this quest. I had to expand my field by another 6 sprinklers, however, to fit in all the new grape seeds I've just brought. I began the day by shipping some items I needed for the collection, alongside finding and planting the third new crop of 1.6, broccoli. These again are regrowable crops that will give me a steady income throughout the season, similar to the summer squashes. Due to it being blackberry season, I head around the valley in the Cindersap forest, foraging as many blackberries as I can see, as they are a great source of free energy, but they'll also help increase my foraging level. I end the scavenge with over 100 blackberries, which is really good for experience and energy in the mines. Nothing exciting really happened on day 66, all I did was really create a new path leading around the farm, and placed every single tree plant I had as I needed so much wood. This looked ugly in the end, but I barely gave the trees enough time to grow anyway before I get rid of them in the winter. Much of the same on day 67, I spent most of it on the farm shipping off the various items I had laying around in the storage in order to ship every item for the collection and perfection. I do remember, however, to give a gift to Jodie for her birthday. I finished off a grinding day collecting berries and chopping trees in the Cindersap forest. My first 9 pumpkins are ready today, which went straight into some kegs to make pumpkin juice. Speaking of kegs, I commissioned 10 more kegs today, expanding my keg empire. Furthermore, my duck gifted me a duck feather today, which was the last item I need to complete the dye bundle within the community centre. Just before I dropped it off, I checked the travelling cart to see if it had any more items. Oh, and oh boy did it deliver. After turning away a truffle all those days ago, the cart again offered me another truffle, meaning I can now skip getting pigs entirely. That would save me 16,000 gold. Which was incredible, and as you can see by my mouse movements, I was very happy when I saw this popped up. The travelling cart was the true MVP of this 100 days. On the way, I picked up a quest to kill 6 red slimes from another ticket, and of course I had to take. I also had 5 gold star quality pumpkins to donate for that very first lucky harvest, which meant I now had completed the quality crops bundle, leaving me with only a yam needed to completely finish the pantry and unlock the greenhouse. Leaving, I donated the truffle to the chef's bundle and feather, completing the dye bundle, giving me another seed maker. which is useful for ancient fruit, which I don't get a single one of this entire 100 days. It didn't take me long to slay 6 red slimes and head into Lewis's Pride machine, which rewarded me with a nice blue bed, which I swapped out for my old one straight away. Wow, what an upgrade. Overnight I reached farming level 10, offering me artisan or agriculturalist, which obviously I chose artisan as it made wine from the kegs worth 40% more, which is incredible. Funny day today, day 69, I was greeted with another cranberry harvest alongside broccoli, which was cool and needed to ship towards the collection. After selling my cranberries at Pierre's, it put me on 21,000 gold, which allowed me to prompt an upgrade for my house to unlock the kitchen, needed to make the mackie roll and eggs for the chef's bundle. Outside Robin's, I dig up a new black hat, which I love so much, and I had to say goodbye to the trash hat. I'm sorry, but that's not me anymore. I'm really surprised on the morning of day 70 by Gunther commending me on how many items I've donated to the museum, and as a reward he offers me the rusty key to the sewers, which I literally forget about entirely until early winter. However, today is the day of the first large pumpkin harvest, yielding me over 80 pumpkins, which I keep most of them to stick them in the kegs to make pumpkin juice, as the profits are pretty much doubled that way. I make sure to head to Pierre's to buy lots more pumpkin seeds to replace the batch I just harvested. I also spent my gold buying some speed grow to make sure the pumpkins have enough time to grow before they change over to the next season. I also decided to buy 80 bok choys for no reason at all. Don't ask why, I don't remember. You won't believe my travelling cart luck again, however, as it sells me a rabbit's foot. What? My luck with the cart is just incredible, and that means I can completely skip out on spending 8,000 gold on a rabbit just for its foot. Crazy. The day begins with a letter from Lewis letting me know that the Stardew Valley Fair is tomorrow, which I completely forgot was happening. I take all of my items to the community centre to finish off the Enchanter's bundle and the fodder bundle, getting a heater and 5 gold bars. While I'm there, I remember to drop off a pumpkin for the full crop bundle before I forget. Another Monday means another special order. I select Pierre's prime produce just because I'm growing so many crops, it should be nice and easy to tick off before the end of the season. My gold pickaxe is ready to collect today, giving me a much needed upgrade when I enter the skull caverns again. I must have gone to get food or something because I spent the rest of the day AFK on the farm. Day 72, my first batch of pumpkin juice is ready today despite it being only 11 cases of it. Without remembering, I tried to enter town and find out it's the fair today, so I filled my inventory with a bunch of expensive items in hopes of winning first prize in the fair. Checking the fair shop, I found out it was selling a prize ticket, which I was aiming to get alongside a star drop. Here's my display, not too bad. I asked Lewis to judge it and he decided mine was the winner, granting me 1,000 star tokens to play in some games. Instead of playing the fun games, I decided to show off my inner gambler and gambling all on green. Never gamble. I accidentally put all my tokens on green, meaning if I lost, I wouldn't have any tokens to any games. But luck was on my side, winning 3 times in a row, giving me enough tokens for the ticket and the star drop. My second star drop of the 100 days. I traded my token to the prize machine on day 73 to gain 4 quality sprinklers. Not too bad for free. Overnight, Robin had finished constructing my house upgrade, which means I can now make the mackie roll and scrambled eggs for the last 2 items for the bulletin board bundle, finishing that area entirely, leaving me one step closer to restoring the whole community centre. I awakened to find yet another harvest of my cranberries alongside a new batch of pumpkin juice that was ready. Overnight, my pumpkin juice put me on 25,000 gold, which now allowed me to spend upgrading my tools. The first batch of grapes were also ready today, leaving me one step closer to completing Lewis's crop order goal from the special orders board. Running seriously low on coal again, and after selling a new batch of cranberries, I made sure to buy 40 plus coals from Clint. I also have a weird cutscene with Caroline today in her tea room as she offers me a cup. I don't know what she put in that tea, but it made me see some weird stuff. After this cutscene with Caroline, she will then send me the recipe for tea saplings, which sell for a whopping 2,500 G per sapling, making them another easy cheap money source whenever I was running low. It was Marnie's birthday today, so I made sure to gift her one of my pink cakes I received from the community centre before I head to bed. Also, today is the first time I've looked at the various recipes I need to start cooking them. Also, I remembered that I still hadn't rained in over 16 days and was beginning to get worried about catching the last 2 fish. The walleye was okay as it can be caught in winter, but the eel cannot, and without a rain day in fall, I'll be unable to finish the community centre in 100 days. I'm greeted by Marnie at my door on day 75 asking me to bring her a cave carrot to feed her animals. And after finishing the friendship area of the community centre, I was bombarded in the mail this morning by villagers offering me recipes for food. Of course, all was useful, and at some point I would have to make every single recipe for perfection. Today's travelling cart didn't offer anything of use, so I ignored it and went on my day. I had a lot of quests to tick off, and so I headed to Marnie's and wait for it to open in order to give her a cave carrot she requested. Additionally, Caroline wanted a pumpkin, which she and Abigail can carve for Spirit's Eve. Although I did give her one, I was scared she might offer me some more crazy tea, so I left as soon as possible. While at Marnie's, I managed to pick up Mayor Lewis's shorts and wave them in his face before not returning them to him and storing them for safekeeping. On my way back to the farm, Hayley decides to insult me by pointing out the grass stain on my pants. Thanks, Hayley. Another batch of pumpkin juice was ready to sell today. Also, I harvested enough of my crops to get 25 gold star ones to complete the Pierre's Prime Produce special order. And all I had to do was dump him in some bin in his shop. I collect my new iridium pickaxe from Clint and sent off my watering can to upgrade it to steel. Along the way, I collected a prize ticket and claimed my apple sapling from Lewis's prize machine. It was at this point in the run where I started to get really worried that I wouldn't get another rainy day, so I checked the TV and after seeing another clear day tomorrow, I went straight to bed not wanting to complete any other tasks out of pure nervousness for the fact that I may have failed my main goal of the 100 days. First thing I do on day 77 is to check the weather forecast for tomorrow to see if another rain day. No rain tomorrow. Now I was worried. Day 21 or 4 with only 7 more days to go. I was genuinely scared. I'm really hoping the Stardew Valley gods might bless me one more time. Although, after all my luck with the travelling cart, I think my luck might have just ran out. Another batch of grapes are ready today, allowing me to reach 100 needed to finish Lewis's special order request. Today's travelling cart offered me another rabbit's foot, which was kinda crazy, but I didn't need one anymore. Now I had a lot of cash and decided to buy all the recipes that Robin sold in her shop for decorating my farm towards the end of the playthrough. I made sure to buy a calendar from Robin's while I was there to remind me of NPC birthdays and upcoming events. I'm then greeted by a cutscene from Pierre trying to rip off the local villagers with the gold star crops I just gave him. I told him that I'm more offended they didn't want my veggies, as a true farmer would. In an artifact spot, I'm given the 4th and final new crop, the powder melon, an actual crop which can grow in winter, finally. Another day, another dry day, no rain in sight. I looked towards crafting a rain totem, realising that I needed truffle oil to craft one, and I won't be able to buy one because I don't have a pig. The fate of the entire run is now on luck. In the mail I'm gifted a mini shipping bin, 2 of them actually. I don't remember when, maybe yesterday, but I must have brought a pig. But it wouldn't mature in time anyway for truffle oil. On better light, I loaded my pumpkin juices ready for collection today, which meant much needed top up on my funds. In the meantime, I turn in yet another prize token to receive a book of friendship, which allows me to make friends much easier. And God does it. If I give an NPC a love gift on its birthday, it gave me like 5, 6, 7, 8 hearts, which is insane. I made sure to pick up my watering can from Clint today, which I recently asked him to upgrade to steel. And then I spent the rest of the day in the mines in search of bug meat. I'm greeted by yet another dry day. However, it's one of the last harvests of my cranberries today, increasing my already stacked wallet to over 50,000 gold. Despite my newfound wealth, I spent most of the day back in the mines in search for more bug meat for the special order quest. However, my misfortunes with Mother Nature, a monster dropped a yam in the mines, which I must have forgot to plant by now, meaning I can now complete the full crops bundle, allowing me to access the greenhouse in the morning, which is a huge upgrade for the farm, allowing me to grow whatever crop I want. Overnight, I watched the Junimos dance and repair the greenhouse, readying it for my use in the morning. I'm greeted by a message this morning saying that my dog Yogi loves me. This now means that every time I pet him in the morning, he has a chance to drop me a random item, which is definitely a new update in the 1.6. Although, yet again, no rain today. Without repeating myself, just let you know that every day I'll be harvesting crops, selling pumpkin juice, and as possible tending to my animals. You know, the normal chores in the valley. It's George's birthday today and make sure to give him a gold star quality leek. I also sent my steel axe to Clint for upgrade. I headed to Robin's to ask her to build me a fish pond on the farm too, to start farming some of the items that fish ponds offer the player. I do remember to drop off the 100 bug meat at Willie's to finish his quest from the special orders board today. Day 81 marks the 25th of 4 today and still no rain. It's not looking good, Brev. However, I'm informed in the mail that I can now buy multiple pets to have on the farm from Marnie's. It's definitely something I want to do in the next 100 days. The speed grow meant today was the big harvest of pumpkins, which I don't sell but store in chests to place in kegs eventually. I crafted a whopping 18 more kegs, which definitely took up a lot more room. Eventually the 2 rare seeds grew today, allowing me to take the sweet gem to the statue in the secret woods to get my hands on my 3rd star drop of the playthrough. As the day turned into night, I stopped by the desert shop to purchase 60 starfruit as well as 60 deluxe speed grow to plant in the greenhouse. The best thing about the greenhouse is once you've hoed the soil and placed fertiliser, it will never break, meaning the deluxe speed grow I buy will stay there forever, making it a worthwhile investment to spend my gold on. I also buy a clothesline from Sandy for no apparent reason but for aesthetics. I make sure to plant the starfruit in the greenhouse. alongside 3 iridium sprinklers. Starfruit wine is one of the best money makers in the entire game, and so I wanted to get to the point where my greenhouse is completely full of it. Day 82. My prayers have been answered. Rain today. Thank the Stardew Valley gods. This meant I had the chance to finish the fish tank bundle if I caught them both today. I'm informed by Lewis in the mail that the town are getting together for the Spirits Eve festival tomorrow, which is one of my favourite events. In the night I hear noises which sounded like a tree falling down, and it turns out the big tree by Marnie's ranch had collapsed and would need 100 pieces of hardwood to repair. I'm guessing this is another new feature in the 1.6. I do check the cart today, find nothing of use, not to matter, it's been great for me throughout the entire game anyway. Before I begin the fishing grind, I stop by at Clint's to pick up my new gold axe. If I don't catch the walleye and eel today, I won't be able to finish my main goal of the 100 days. After only 2 minutes in the mountain lakes, I managed to fish up the walleye. After that I go down to the ocean and pray for an eel to appear, and after some time, I catch it. I'm just so relieved. These 2 fish made me so worried that I'd just thrown away my chances at the 100 Days Community Centre. I just never thought that I'd go an entire season without any rain apart from on Fall 2 and on Fall 26. I take them straight to the Community Centre, which meant I was 1 bundle away from completing the entire Community Centre. It turns out the fish tank actually works in the Community Centre now, so I place the eel in there as a reminder of troubles it caused me. The end of fall is upon us with the arrival of Spirits Eve. Today being an event means most of the town is locked off for us as the townsfolk are setting up the event in town. After the Junimos removed the boulder blocking the mountain river, Willie gave me a copper pan which would allow me to pan for ores and artifacts in the river lakes. However, in the 1.6 update you can now upgrade your pan, giving you better luck and more ores while penning. I made sure to get this to at least steel by the time in the 100 days ends, as I know how much I'll need it when travelling to Ginger Island. The last 2 of my pumpkins are ready for harvest today. I wanted to keep them for kegging, but I also kept 1 or 2 for recipes later on. I built my first big chest today in the new update, which expands the size of your chest, which is just great. And even better, you can just place the big chest on top of the smaller chest if you didn't know, and it automatically transfers the items over without any issues. Without much to do until 10 PM, I went around my farm chopping trees and clearing as much debris as possible to fill the time between now and the start of Spirits Eve. I speak to some of the townsfolk in the event, and are boring as ever. I quickly run around the maze to claim my golden pumpkin. Another nice quality of life feature is the new shortcut minecart back to the start of the maze, which means you don't have to walk all the way back through the maze again. As soon as I got out, I headed home after interacting with some of the locals. The last day of the season and the end of the 100 days is nearer more than ever. I still have a lot to do to achieve perfection in the community centre, so I had to get right back to it. Judy had requested I come over to her house tonight for dinner as long as I bring a largemouth bass, which was an invitation I greatly appreciated, as most of the villagers seemed to resent me after the egg hunt incident. I donated 100 pieces of hardwood to the broken tree on my way to the travelling cart, and waited to see if anyone was going to move in. The travelling cart sold a squid and a combat quarterly book today. I decided to buy the squid for any future recipes that require it. I proceeded to buy 67 coal from Clint again, as I was running really low on it as usual. At 7 PM I head over to Jodie's for dinner, which everyone loved. I even got this nice message, which ended a successful fall. Now on to winter. Do you feel that cool breeze in the air? Yep, it's winter time, and as I exit my cabin, I'm almost blinded by how white the screen is now. I'm granted today with a whole load more pumpkin juice that I'd finished inside my kegs, which is always great. On my way to town, I'm interrupted by a creature who promptly runs away from me as soon as he spots me. I follow his footsteps up in the snow to the playground where I find him in a bush, and he grants me the magnifying glass, allowing me to see secret notes, which is interesting. At Emily's house, I witnessed an argument between sisters about household chores. I suggest that Hayley should clean under the couch once a week as her daily chore. And then thrown straight into another cutscene with Emily that shows her dreaming about me. Very weird. I find the last 2 pieces of winter forage and I need, and that's it. I've done it. 85 days in Stardew Valley and I've completed the community centre. And as the Junimos say goodbye, I look around in great pride in the achievement of what I've done. This grind has been worth it. This completes the main goal of the 100 days, completing the community centre. Another thing introduced in the new update is the new village winter outfits, which are just so cool. I love them all, and it adds new dynamic to the game rather than the same old look of the NPCs. I rest the end of the successful day 1 of winter by fishing in the ocean. Overnight, I watched the Junimos repair the bridge to the quarry, the final community centre unlocks, as well as reaching fishing level 10, which promptly chose angler, which made fish worth 50% more, a no-brainer. The sturgeon I placed in the fish pond wanted a diamond today, which made sure I got it. I went with sturgeon as it could produce caviar needed for a future bundle. I tend to some loose ends today by asking Clint to once again crack open all of my geodes for more artifacts, as well as donate some artifacts I've had for a while. While I'm in town, I stop by Robin's to request a coop upgrade, as although I don't technically need it anymore, I'll need a rabbit's foot for gifts in the shipping collection anyway. Heading into town today, I see the whole village celebrating the restoration of the community centre, as well as Morris, the owner of the local Jojo Mart, having a fight with Pierre. I make sure to inform Pierre that he should settle this the old-fashioned way, and send Morris to the hole he came from. And excitingly watch Pierre send Morris into orbit. Lewis gives me the Stardew Valley Hero Trophy today as a reward for restoring the community centre. I then take my bombs up to the newly opened quarry and start clearing it out. I notice that there's a new coal stone here which provides me much needed coal backup. One of the rocks dropped a secret note asking me to bring maple syrup to the secret woods, which was weird. Now that the quarry was unlocked, however, I can now get my hands on the golden scythe, and after making my way through the quarry cave, I did so. I also began working on a new special order from Demetrius asking me to catch 10 squid. Day 87, I will receive a letter from Willie as I awaken, telling me how he wants to show me something in his back room. However, I didn't have enough materials to fix the old boat he's on about, so I ignored it for a bit. On my way to tick off some loose quests, I notice a raccoon friend has made his home in the old tree, and requests I bring him 7 periwinkles and smoked bream. However, I'd never smoked a fish yet, as it must be a new feature in the update. I know that Willie sells the recipe though. As I enter the secret woods, I'm greeted by a weird bear with an obsession with maple syrup and was grateful for it. In return, he gifted me with the power to get more salmon berries and blackberries when I forage them from bushes. On my way to buy the recipe from Willie's, he seemed to be having a crab problem as they overtaken the whole shop until Gus arrives and agrees to buy them all promptly, turning them into crab cakes. How nice of him. I head back to the farm to craft a new smoker and proceed to place the bream right into it for the lovely raccoon friend. Heading up towards the spa, I'm interrupted by the wizard telling me to talk to Krobus to get the dark talisman to unlock the witch's swamp to retrieve the wizard's special ink. It's now I remember that I have the sewer key and I hadn't used it yet, which I promptly used and met up with the creature who ran from me earlier and helped locate the dark talisman I needed to get access to the witch's swamp. And after making my way through the mutant bug lair, I find quickly what I wanted and get the hell out of there. Day 88 begins with a new frost beginning to build across the valley as it's covered in a blanket of snow today. I then decide to craft 6 more kegs with many more on the way, ready for starfruit I have growing inside the greenhouse. I head down to Marnie's to purchase a rabbit after Robin just finished upgrading my coop. I remember to swoop by the raccoon to drop off the smoked bream. I ended the day crafting many more kegs and clearing out a huge ugly tree farm at the bottom of the farm. Day 89 starts with a large box of pumpkin juice ready for selling. I made sure to use the last of my pumpkins in the kegs today. Making a stop at the cart today provides me with nothing of use, as most items now I already have. The bookseller's back in town today with actual gold to spend, means I can take full advantage of him. Most of the books he was selling are just skill boosters, but I picked up the price catalogue, which was only 3,000 gold, allowing me to see how much items sold for. Which is so useful as I've always used mods for this, but now this is a fully vanilla playthrough, I couldn't. I also realised you can trade in books for decent rewards, such as hardwood, slime incubators and cave jellies. I then moved all my crab pots to the river in order to try and get the periwinkles I needed for the raccoon's bundle. Before she closes, I asked Robin to build me a shed. I wanted one to store my soon-to-be starfruit kegs in it. I then wrap up the day with a whopping 22 kegs crafted, and also not forgetting to chop the hardwood stumps in the secret woods. A nice feature I've noticed is that the sun sets way earlier in winter. Nice little new feature. First order of business on day 90 is to check and refill my crab pots in the river to help me get enough periwinkles for the raccoon. I've also been requested by Clint to give Emily an amethyst. A bit creepy, mate. Without any other idea what to do today, I checked the items I needed to ship and build towards the collection. Today is the day of my new shed, which is just in time as my starfruit are fully grown in the greenhouse, meaning they are ready for kegging. I make sure to pick up any loose keg around the farm and place it inside the shed to begin filling them with starfruit. Once they turn into starfruit wine, I'll be the richest person in all the valley. Being a Sunday, I head over to the travelling cart again to find nothing of use, but it's always good to check just in case. After checking my crab pots in the river, I've just enough periwinkles to finish the first bundle for the raccoon. After handing them to him, he gives me 25 powder melon seeds, and he now says maybe he'll find a wife. You do you, raccoon. You do you. I made sure to warp over to the desert to replace the starfruit I just harvested in the greenhouse in order to keep a steady starfruit wine. Winter 7 is Caroline's birthday, so I made sure to hand her a summer spangle for a gift. On the way out, I spot George, who looks well nice in his hat. Day 92. I wanted to have the last few days of the 100 days dedicated to designing the farm ready for 200 days, and if you guys want it, I suppose. And that starts by chopping all of those ugly trees at the bottom of the farm, although today was the day of the Festival of Ice, which I had to compete against the villagers to catch the most fish, and of course, as the professional fisher I am, won easily without any trouble. Day 93 to 100. I spent the entirety of the rest of the challenge redesigning the farm to look as good as possible, and if you're wondering why it took me so long to do so, you should know I'm very bad at building and decorating, as you've seen. And so I wanted to make it look right, and this is the final result. It's not too much, I didn't have a lot on the farm, but it's better than before. I had the coop and the barn below the farm cave, all walled off looking nice. For 200 days I want to fill it with more animals and buy even more barns and coops. I also relocated the tree farm just above that. I reconstructed a well for easy access for water. I also left lots of room for crops in the following seasons. And that's it. The 100 days is over. I'm so happy with everything I've achieved across the time we've had. Some close calls, not achieving the main goal, but we did it. I'd love to continue to work on this farm in 200 days, but only if you guys want it and support the channel. I appreciate all the support, and please leave any comments on goals you want me to work towards in 200 days and make them really hard. I mean, really hard. If I don't see you again, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Yes everyone, we're back for another 100 days video, and it's somehow more insane than the last. Oh no, that's so sad. Oh my god, this is so helpful. She said yes. If you haven't seen the last 100 days video, go and make sure to watch that first, as I'll be carrying on straight from that. It's fine. I'll wait. In the last video, I successfully completed the community centre and had a decent setup on the farm leading into 200 days. I wanted to make this 200 days 10 times harder than before, so I set out 3 extremely hard goals. My first goal I set to achieve was to find 130 golden walnuts on Ginger Island. My second task was to find the 3 remaining star drops from Willy, the museum, and from a spouse. And my fourth one was to build all 4 obelisks on the farm, including the water, desert, earth, and island obelisk. This video took over 50 hours to complete, and would appreciate it if you enjoy the video to like and subscribe. And without further delay, this is how far I can get in 200 days of Stardew Valley. We pick up on the night of day 100, which I left out of the last video. Not much happened, I just made sure to take a ride down the submarine to catch the blobfish, spookfish and the midnight squid, which were all exclusive to the ocean floor. I was late to bed, but just made it just in time to begin the next 100 days. It's the wizard's birthday today, so I made sure to hand him a void essence to help build friendship with him. I then headed to Clint to complete a quest and send off my pan for another upgrade. While I was there, I asked him to crack open some mystery boxes I had laying around, alongside many of my geodes in hopes of getting more artifacts for the museum. I was straight up to Robin's to commission a new fish pond to place on the farm. Due to the cold, my animals were stuck inside, meaning I was running low on hay, which I made sure to top up on at Marnie's. Yesterday I received a new message saying I've reached a new leveling of understanding, which meant I had unlocked a new mastery in the reward in the cave. I won't explain it all as it's quite lengthy, but once you've reached level 10 in all skills, you can work towards a new mastery, which grants a new reward for each skill. Of course, at the time of recording I had no idea what this was and took the time to see for myself. Once I arrive in the cave, I see a letter on the ground from my grandpa letting me know that these tools and skills were used by him, and would love for me to have them. He's always full of surprises. Each section has its own features, which I won't fully explain now, but I will as I collect each one. My first reward for choosing the farming mastery, which grants you the iridium scythe, which is so good. It allows to harvest crops, which is just insane and a feature I can't believe exists now. The mastery grants you a crafting recipe for the new statue, which gives you a unique blessing every day, and the ability to find golden animal crackers, which permanently doubles a farm animal's produce. What a useful new set of features, but look at the crafting recipe for the Statue of Blessings, it's crazy. I then headed down to the beach to indulge in the last day of the night market, which consisted of me collecting my free coffee as well as checking out the shops. While fishing today I got my hands on the new animal crackers, which I gave straight to my animals for more produce. I'm running low on resources as normal, so I spend the rest of day 103 in the normal mines. A huge batch of starfruit wine is ready to collect inside the shed today, which is most definitely a huge boost in cash for me. I'm making sure to smelt as many ores as possible to help me in the future. Selling my starfruit pears puts me on 300,000 gold, which makes sure to buy every single fruit tree to plant them in the greenhouse. I would need most fruits for gifts and recipes later on. The bookseller's in town today and as per usual doesn't sell much I need. I wrap up the day by making sure to plant the fruit trees inside the greenhouse and tending to some loose chores such as clearing debris and tending to my animals. I begin the day giving a diamond to Evelyn for her birthday. For perfection, I would need every friendship at maximum hearts, so birthday gifts are essential. Yesterday I remember about the old boat in Willy's shed, so I take all the resources I need to fix it, which means I'll be able to travel to Ginger Island in the morning. I commissioned the construction of a new shed for the farm. I wanted more room to put my kegs in, and another shed was just perfect for that. Day 106 starts with a long boat journey over to the new island just south of Pelican Town. The blazing heat hits my face as I cross the pier, letting me know that I've arrived. I quickly spot a small boy in a tree which promptly gets me scared and runs off. Very weird. I also see some giant turtles which are blocking the various paths around the island. I decided to follow the direction the small boy ran off to into the jungle. It's here I find my first golden walnut, which I need to collect all 160 of them to achieve perfection and complete my goal for the 100 days. In the jungle I see a small tree house which must belong to the boy. I smashed the log on the tree to get my second golden walnut, which I gave straight to this parrot. The parrot looked like it could talk to the boy, who was too scared to talk to me, so I had to gain his trust first. I also picked up 3 new tent kits laying around, which was used to stop overnight on the island. After leaving the jungle, I see one of the turtles had moved out of the way, which means I could progress up the island, up towards the volcano, collecting as many golden walnuts as possible on the way, of course. I run into a new parrot which seems to be linked to Joja somehow, the owner that Pierre sent into orbit. I headed into the mountain with the goal of reaching the peak. The volcano mines offer a tough challenge filled with the strongest enemies in the game, but also having the chance to offer some strong rewards. It was a tough fight which lasted me the entire day, but around 1 PM I managed to reach the peak and arrive at the forge. The forge is an interesting feature which allows the enchanting of tools and weapons which grants them buffs. I had enough cinder shards to enchant my pickaxe, which gave it the powerful enchant. The forge can also combine rings to save slot space. Although I wouldn't have enough time to go home today, so I decided to use one of the tent kits to camp overnight and get a great early start on the island in the morning. I had enough golden walnuts to force the giant turtle to move and unlock the island farm, which is one of the most important places in the whole game in my opinion. It was messy, but with a bit of love the island will be back up to normal soon. I also meet a new lady which tasks me on finding her pirate's locket, which requires a bit of treasure hunting, gifting certain villagers certain items, but I couldn't start it yet as it required Kent to move in, which only happens in year 2. I'd found enough golden walnuts to uncover the dig site, to which I hear a man shouting for help, which appears he has got stuck behind a big boulder and requires some sort of explosive to free him. I crafted up a bomb to free Professor Snail, who is a local archaeologist who studies bones on the island. This now unlocks the field office, which I had to complete, which tasked me to find various bones located all over Ginger Island for rewards. After clearing out the dig site, I had enough bones to complete the snake skeleton, which rewarded me with a mango sapling, another fruit tree. I fed the parrot enough walnuts to repair the island farmhouse and the mailbox, which meant I now had a place to sleep overnight on Ginger Island, so I didn't have to camp out anymore. I then spent the rest of the night clearing debris to make room for some crops. What makes the island farm so good is that you can't get crows on here, which means there is no need for scarecrows. Back to the chilly cold old valley today after 2 days away, which meant new quests and objectives to continue to work on. It was Leah's birthday today, so I made sure to give her a love gift as soon as possible. Before that, I made sure to fill up the 3 kegs I had with all the remaining starfruit I had left and plant some loose seeds inside the greenhouse. I needed to put 10 beets inside Mayor Lewis's fridge for a request from Mr. Key, so I headed to the Oasis to purchase some and plant some in the greenhouse. I spent most of the day ticking off some loose quests and making sure Leah gets her birthday gift. I planned to head into Skull Cavern today as I was running low on some basic minerals and wanted to top up. I was mainly looking for iridium ore as I didn't have much after using 5 bars to repair Willie's boat. The run ended very successfully, reaching floor 72 before I called it quits, coming away with all this. Not too bad. Winter 25 is today, and as everyone would know is the day of the Feast of the Winter Star, in which my secret gift giver was the Mayor of Pelican Town, Lewis. I didn't have any love gifts for him, which was annoying, but I had to settle with a coconut, which she liked. The festival was loud and everyone in town was having a great time. I made sure to give Lewis's gift to find out Linus was my secret gift giver, which he gifted me with a bottle of wine. Not bad. After a long, heartfelt day, Winter 25 was over in a flash. I'm back on Ginger Island today to do some fishing and managed to catch the new lionfish. There are 5 golden walnuts which can only be obtained from fishing, so I made sure to begin right now. I also made another trip to the dig site to hopefully find some more bones, although my goal today was to obtaining more dragon teeth, which is an extremely rare item and only found in the volcano. It has a 10% chance to be dropped by this enemy, or can spawn randomly next to these bones. And by my calculations, to achieve perfection, I would need to ship 1, 6 were needed for crafting, and 10 were needed for the Iron Obelisk, which means I would need a crazy amount of 17 dragon teeth. I made sure I had enough time today to head into the cave just above the farm to complete the Simon Says puzzle, which is so hard. I won't admit to you how long I spent in here, but I'll just say it was most of the day. I decided to spend the night on the island last night as I was running late. No idea why. I then planned another Skull Cavern run to get more resources. I told you I wasn't playing around this time, I was in the grinding mood. Not a bad run, wasn't too lucky today, however I made it down to only floor 35 before I called it quits. During yesterday's school cavern session I had unlocked another mastery, which after going down to the cave I chose the mining mastery, which would grant me the recipe for heavy furnace, which is a way more efficient than the regular furnace. The new mastery also meant gem bearing rocks would grant twice the gems, alongside the recipe for the statue of the Dwarf King, which seems similar to the farming one but gave the player a choice between 2 mining related powers every day. Setting up sprinklers was the next order in line on Ginger Island, which took up a lot of the day, but made sure to plant the starfruit I had brought with me. Just look at all the room you get, this is why the island farm is just so good. Not a really lot happened today, but that officially ends the first year in the valley, and I'm really excited for what awaits me in the future. That chilly air had gone overnight, letting me know that spring has begun. If you notice anything different, I did make some changes by adding a texture mod alongside a portrait mod, both purely aesthetic and won't affect the gameplay at all. Just make things a bit, nicer. The first order of business is like every other season, starts with me clearing the debris which had formed overnight, ready for loads of spring crops. I made sure to buy loads of each seed this time as I would need to ship every one, and a lot of them are used in the recipes. I mostly brought cauliflowers as they sold for the most, and as there wasn't that many options anyway. Another Monday meant another special order quest, which I took Lewis's crop order, which would require me to ship 100 cauliflowers, which wasn't going to be too difficult, as you have the whole season to do it. A lot of time was then spent planting them and making sure they were all watered. I had a bunch of quests laying around and wanted to complete as many of them I could. One of these quests was the Pirate Locket quest I had obtained a few days ago from the woman on Ginger Island. So I gave the war memento to Kent, in return he gave me a tomato soul, which I then gave to Gus. He then gifted me with a Stardew Valley rose. I jump scared as I leave the saloon by a possum, very weird. Today's the first time I receive an ancient seed from fishing, which I can now start growing them inside the greenhouse. Today started with a new batch of starfruit wine ready for collection, alongside donating the ancient fruit to the museum to obtain the ancient seed recipe. A trip to the desert to give Sandy the Stardew Valley rose, in return she gave me a TV remote. I then aimed to get further down in the skull caverns while I'm there to get my hands on that juicy iridium ore. The trip ends on floor 53 with a bunch of useful materials. These frequent trips are really stocking me up for any future endeavours I have in mind. I start the day by handing George the TV remote, in return he gave me an Arctic shard, which after handing to the wizard he gave me a wriggly worm, and then I finally had the pirate locket for the woman on Ginger Island. Damn, that's a long quest. Once I arrived on the island I made sure to clear up any new season debris that had formed 3 nights ago, before receiving some golden walnuts in return for handing her husband's locket back, which is quite sad. Finally, the young boy I encountered a few nights ago would speak to me and explained how he got here, and I was the first person he had seen since the night of his ship crash, although he's still convinced that he's a bird, not a human. I take my pan to the dig site in hopes of getting a lucky ring. I do manage to get some useful items, but no lucky ring. Not to worry however, as there's still a lot of time to get one. Just before I headed to bed, the beetroots had finished growing inside, which meant I could place them in Melus's fridge, completing the Mr. Key quest, and after checking my log pile, found the club card, giving me access to the casino in the Oasis. After handing my club card to the bouncer, I brought some key coins to begin gambling. In the game, of course. Even in video games, I can't escape it. I don't do too well and end up leaving after some time. It's raining on day 117, which began with a gift for Kent for his birthday. I didn't have any love gifts for him, but it was a gift nonetheless. I requested an upgrade for my newly built shed. This would allow me to fit in more kegs. Another errand day today, I spent it mostly fishing for some fish I hadn't caught yet for the collection, alongside ticking off some loose quests I had laying around. My fish pond requested a pizza today, which after heading to the saloon, made sure it got, ending a lackluster day 117. The rain had passed today and the valley was looking much brighter. A batch of parsnips and garlic had finished growing, which I made sure to ship one of each and stored one for cooking later on. To fill their gap, I headed to Pierre's and purchased 40 more cauliflowers to begin growing. And I'm once again back on the dig site in the afternoon with the hopes of obtaining more bones and the lucky ring. I don't get either, but I'll keep trying as much as I can. I plan to dive once again back into the skull caverns on the wake of day 119. If there was ever a day I didn't know what to do, I'd head into the skull caverns. Although today is the day that tragedy strikes. After a mostly successful trip, which I make it all the way down to floor 73, I get teamed up on by a slime, and 2 bats takes me out. Without any knowledge, I awaken inside the hospital to Harvey letting me know that he had a hard time saving me, and that I was lucky to be alive. And along the way had lost 13 diamonds and 1 dinosaur egg. After a traumatic day 119, I'm back to my normal self today, which was helped by the fields of crops that are grown, which I could now use my new iridium scythe to harvest, which I just can't get over how cool it is. I once again make another trip to Ginger Island to attend some loose chores, such as mining some beach rocks to get more golden walnuts. I had just enough to rebuild the island resort today, which meant every day, if it's sunny on Ginger Island, a random assortment of villagers would travel here to relax and enjoy it. I need the resort, as when Gus is here he sells a cooking recipe, which is exclusive to the beach resort, and can often take ages before he goes here, so the sooner I opened it up, the better. I head home and make a quick stop at the Adventurers Guild to recover the items I had lost yesterday in the caverns. It's the beginning of a bright new week in the valley today, which begins with a package in the mail from Marlon which contains the items I had lost in the caverns, which was much appreciated. After arriving on Ginger Island, I see some villagers in beach clothes relaxing and taking in the warm temperature here. Both Emily and Marnie were here amongst others, which was cool to see. Talking of warm temperatures, I make a trip back into the volcano with hopes of getting more dragon teeth and any potential new bones for Professor Snail. I quit before it gets too late with not much to show for it. Just before I plan to leave I hear some loud music, which, when I follow, reveals that the pirates had just moved into a cave to the east of the island. The cave was full of them, with one of them hosting a game of darts, which I got a certain score would grant me some golden walnuts. And after playing 3 times, he gave me 3 golden walnuts in return. I also managed to catch the stingray here, just below where the pirates were setting up. Today began with the filling of a new big shed, with as many kegs as I could craft. I didn't have many, but the more the merrier. Once again I'm back on Ginger Island to the dig site for more potential bones and to try to catch my chances at the lucky ring. I was once again unsuccessful, but after yesterday's volcano trip I had a mummified bat to donate to Professor Snail. Later on I built the resort trader store with 10 golden walnuts, which would gift me with some really useful trades for items that are usually only found on Ginger Island. I was at Clint's on day 123. After requesting he crack open a golden walnut I had found, he gave me a banana sapling, the last of the fruit trees I needed. I would need a lot of them for the island obelisk and other various Ginger Island tasks, so a banana tree was great. A melon had grown on Ginger Island, and after showing it to a very wise frog who lived on the island farm with me, gave me 5 golden walnuts. The bookseller was back in town again, but I already brought most of the useful books it sold, but was worth checking out due to the Combat Quarterly trade for the Monster Musk, which was really annoying to get. I made sure to buy Way of the Wind Part 2 alongside the aforementioned Combat Quarterly and instantly traded it for some Monster Musk. Loads more villagers were visiting the island today with Emily once again back here, but luckily Gus was here today, which sold the recipe for the tropical curry and also Gold Star wine, which would be needed for a missing bundle. I did notice that Kent was also here, but he was wearing a jacket. Mate, it's a tropical island. Talking of the missing bundle, if you're unaware what it is, it's basically when a lone Junimo has been left behind after the restoration of the community centre and is stuck in the abandoned Joja Mart and will require some difficult items to transform it, and so it can go home. After the mango wine, I took a prismatic shard, dinosaur mayo, void salmon from the Witch's Swamp, and caviar which I gained from my fish pond to send the lost Junimo home. The story is actually quite sad, and he promises that good things will happen very soon. I awakened to check out the old Joja Mart to find that a new movie theatre had been brought in the valley, which was crazy. I quickly brought 2 tickets and gave one to Emily to come watch a movie with me. I made sure to buy her something nice to eat during the film. The film was A Little Brave Sapling, which we really enjoyed and was a nice break from the stressful life living in the valley gives you. I then ran out the day in the volcano to hunt for more dragon teeth. As ever it was challenging, but I made it out before the end of the night. The fields are full of crops on the morning of day 126 with the new farming mastery scythe making things much easier and quicker to harvest. And it's so satisfying. Of course, Spring 13 was the day of the Egg Festival, which I was surprised I even was invited to after what happened last year. While I was there, I managed to purchase over 200 strawberry seeds for more profits. I take time to take a quick picture in the bunny cutout. Anyway, back to business. As the hunt begins, I begin to flashback to my old self 1 year ago today, and something awakens inside of me. I quickly shove all the kids back into the dirt and grab as many eggs as possible. I of course win with 11 eggs. However, the atmosphere seemed different, and everyone thinks I should have let them win. Yeah, right. After taking a whole year to rekindle my relationship with the locals, my reputation was now back to what it was a year ago, after grazing both of Vincent's knees and making sure Jazz ate dirt. Anyway, day 127 starts with a quick trip to Clint's to request he cracks open some of my large collection of Omni Geodes I had stored in my chest, and with snarling reluctance, he did so. I had him work for over 100 Omni Geodes, and after that I had fully completed the museum, granting me another star drop, one step closer to completing them all. I then tried my luck back in the casino, which didn't go well as expected. Later in the day I headed to the island farm to see that all my starfruit were ready for harvest. So satisfying. I made it my priority to get them in kegs as soon as possible before the end of the day. I planned another trip into the Skull Caverns today and decided to take my magic rock candy down to boost me further down. I still had a quest from Mr. Keys requiring I reach floor 100 in the caverns, so that was my goal. However, I'm shocked upon arrival as it's the day of the new festival, introducing the 1.6 update, the Desert Festival, where you can earn these things called calico eggs, which you can trade in for various rewards. Willie has a fishing quest here, Emily and Sandy have a dress-up section, and also Marlon and Gil have a Skull Cavern stand which grants calico eggs for completing their quest. Just a wonderful and brilliant new festival, which now has made spring my favourite season, as they're the Egg Hunt, Desert Festival and the Flower Dance. I took a quest from Marlon and dived right into the caverns. However, it isn't the same as any normal Skull Caverns run, but rather randomly these cat statues can appear, which once interacted with can do random things such as give you buffs, such as less damage from monsters, or can give you debuffs. I spent a while down there mining any calico eggs I found. I come out with 152 calico eggs and Gil grants me 100 more to spend. I first headed down to the market stand, which every day 2 villagers will randomly sell exclusive items. I bought the pirate's flag from Penny and saved the rest for other things. Next order of business was to head to Sandy and Emily's tent, which, after some tight adjustments, Emily picked out a new outfit for me to wear, which was awful. What even is that? I then headed up to the main store, which mostly sold decorations and books, and also some mystery boxes. I brought a nice picture and 8 mystery boxes. After that, my stomach was empty after all the work in the Skull Caverns, which led me to check out the food stand, which a chef will cook you a random dish using the prompts it's given. He makes me a nice stuffed mushrooms, which went down a treat. I hung out with Willie a bit, aiming to complete his quest to catch 3 sandfish for some more calico eggs. And finally there's this racing competition between a crab, scorpion and a chicken, which you can bet on to win. Not more gambling. I guess that the captain's crab will win, and this happened. It got so close but came second. Close. But that ended a very interesting day at the new festival. I'd just like to say what a great festival this is. There's so much stuff to do in comparison to the other festivals, like the Flower Dance and Spirit's Eve, which doesn't really offer a lot of interactive stuff. Same again today, I'm back at the Desert Festival taking on another challenge from Marlon inside the Skull Caverns, which he tasked me to gain as many as possible. I didn't do too bad and came out with 115 eggs, and another 100 from Gil. I checked out the new villager stores to find Elliot selling some squid ink, which I brought 2 or 3 of as it's kind of hard to obtain. I also bought some cool decorations from Harvey, which look quite nice and will go quite nice in my house. I tried out Emily's fashion tent again to find a baggy trousers look. Nope, not it. I then found a strange man selling free cactuses, which was cool, I guess. The festival ran over 3 days, and being the last day, I wanted to make the most out of the festival before it leaves. Firstly, I made a stop at Emily's tent to get another awful outfit, the trash outfit. Thanks, Emily. Elliot was back today and didn't sell anything new, which was a shame, although Alex was there, but he wasn't selling anything interesting either. I then took a Stardew Valley knowledge test from the man at the festival, and after answering all his questions correct, gave me 50 calico eggs. There wasn't anything else I wanted to buy from the festival, and so I spent up and head home, and said goodbye to one of the best festivals in the game. I had leveled up enough today to unlock another mastery, which I chose the foraging mastery, which allowed me to find golden mystery boxes, and also unlock the crafting recipe for the mystic tree seed, which would grow a special tree. I had no idea what it did. Stay tuned to find out. Also, it gave me the recipe for the treasure totem, which, when used on a diggable terrain, would summon a ring of treasure spots, which sounded great for finding artifacts, although I'd already finished the museum, typically. At Clint's, I pick up my golden watering can, which I sent off for upgrade a few days ago, and sent off the hoe for an upgrade to Iridium. I head back to Ginger Island, as I haven't been there in a while due to the festival. A few weeds had grown, but no real damage. I round out day 131 with me spotting as many ores as possible, as well as crafting a lot more kegs to fill my second shed. I wanted a bit of new scenery today and began tearing down the old stone walkway to replace it with a new brick one. And after all the clay I'd obtained from the dig site, I could make hundreds of them to replace the old ones. And that's how I spent most of my time, removing the old paths around the farm, placing them with new ones. I wanted to completely redo the farm, but slowly over time. I also had plans to use the quarry to store more kegs, and decided to remove all the kegs from the new shed and move them to the quarry very soon. I had plans for this other shed which I wanted to use for a chest storage instead. I put my plan into full action today and bought some mega bombs from the dwarf to completely clear out the quarry and begin to lay out the locations for the kegs to go. I didn't have that many kegs, but this is how it looked as of now. This meant I had plenty of room for hundreds more. Running extremely low on wood, I headed to chop every single tree in Cindersap Forest. Remember, I won't cover it, but whenever they grow, I try to allocate time to chopping all the trees in the forest for hundreds of woods it offers. I craft up some new heavy furnaces today, which requires a lot more ores, but much better and much quicker for smelting. Today I wanted to begin the construction of my new storage shed, and of course this meant decorating and moving hundreds of items, which took the entire day, and I crafted up big chests for every single chest for maximum storage, and I still didn't finish it. Today was the first. A point I'd like to make is I feel I'm becoming a better player throughout the experience of the 100 days, as I've become better at decorating, which you would know I was horrible at to begin with. And as you'll see at the end of the video, both the farm and the house will look so good and go down as the best farm I've ever done. Back to the video, another batch of starfruit wine was ready for collection, which gave me a much needed gold boost as I only had 9k. Back on the farm I continued to work on moving everything to the new storage area, and even added new stone signs behind each chest with labels corresponding to what's in the chests. I started the day finishing up the shed design. It's not perfect, but I like it. The bookseller's once again back, and I did buy some of his own books to trade them straight back to him for rewards. I try and do this every time he appears, mainly for the monster musk, which is extremely important later on when I want to work towards the monster slayer goal. Pick up Emily's rock rejuvenation quest from the special orders board, one of the easier ones, and would only require you give her a random amount of gems. I had a lot of quests to tick off today, so I spent a lot of time finishing them. Back on Ginger Island, I completed the gem quest from the jungle to get 5 more golden walnuts. I had grown a garlic and wheat on the farm to complete for the frog quest for 10 more golden walnuts, which ended the 3 crops I needed to grow for him. After all of the walnuts, I rebuilt the farm warp totem on the island farm for ease of access to go back home. It was at this point I had collected 100 golden walnuts, which unlocked the most crazy place in the entire game, Mr. Key's Walnut Room. And for anyone who doesn't know, once you collect 100 golden walnuts, the door for Mr. Key's Walnut Room can be opened, where you meet Mr. Key from the casino and the Skull Caverns. This room allows you to do quests which are really difficult and really test your ability to play this game. In return, you get these rewards called key gems, which can be spent on his shop, which gives so many powerful items, such as the pressure nozzles. There is also the perfection tracker in here, which would be extremely useful if I was missing in order to achieve perfection. While I was there, I picked up Key's Hungry Challenge, which tasked me in reaching floor 100 into the Skull Caverns, but without eating or drinking. That's tough. After checking the perfection tracker, it was only 29%. 29%. It doesn't matter, most of it comes from cooking and recipes, which I hadn't made a lot of yet. Still a long way to go. I raced off to the Skull Caverns in the morning to begin an attempt at the quest from Mr. Key. Although I did use staircases to get most of the way down, it made it not too difficult. Although I did come really close to dying, just look at my health. I arrived on floor 100 and received 25 key gems, and also had a cutscene with him, which he made me drink some iridium snake milk, which was awful, but permanently boosted my health. Now the quest was over, I could eat, so I decided to take full advantage of my position in the Skull Caverns and continue to gather as much iridium as possible. I achieved a new record and reached floor 147 before I headed home. As everyone would know, Spring 24 is the day of the Flower Dance, an event where the whole town gathers to celebrate, and also where players get their heart broken every year. And after last year I wanted to make a show of force. I wanted to humiliate Hayley for embarrassing me in front of the entire town. And so I asked her sister to dance, and quite happily she said yes. Have that, Hayley. God, I'm so petty, it's a video game. But for once I wasn't alone at the flower dance and actually enjoyed my time there. After a great night, another batch of strawberries were ready in the morning, which certainly boosted my already great mood. I had decided perhaps it was time to move on from Hayley, and so I went into town and gave a bouquet to Emily, which she loved and accepted it. I headed over to Clint's to pick up my iridium axe and send off my watering can to upgrade for iridium. I spent the rest of the day clearing up debris on the farm and doing some more redecorating, by removing the old floors where the old storage system used to be. It was Pierre's birthday today and wanted to make sure he had a love gift, so I cooked up a fried calamari, which he loves, and handed it to him. I then bumped into Emily inside Lewis's house hosting a fashion show, where various villagers try on unique outfits. This was Shane, Robin's was... Well, anyway, Lewis looked like the governor and Abigail was in a suit of armour. And of course, Clint was once again here and he looks creepy. After everyone left, Clint burst back in with the door and gets sad that I was talking to Emily and says I've won. What? What a weirdo. I then thought to clear out the old tree farm at the top of the farm at the end of the day and wanted to move the farmhouse back up. It just felt weird it was in the middle of the farm. Day 140 started with Emily's birthday, which I had to make sure she gets a love gift to get to max friendship with her. I had some plans to add more sprinklers to the Ginger Island farm, so I headed to the desert to buy over 500 starfruit and then headed straight to Ginger Island to lay out the new sprinklers and plant the starfruit. It obviously took a while, but I managed to get them in the ground before late afternoon. The rest of the day was spent creating a cool new sprinkler setup on the farm. I wanted to create a layout that used the Junimo huts, which I just never used before and never really understood how to set them up. The last day of the season and I'm straight back to making the new crop area. It doesn't take me long to finish this and this is what it looked like in the end. I had just enough experience to collect another mastery and I decided to go with the combat mastery, which gives you a crafting recipe. Additionally, it locks a new equipment slot for trinkets. Trinkets are a new type of equipment which grants special powers, which, as you'll see later on, will be one of the best items in the 1.6 update. And to go with the new said trinkets, the combat mastery also gives us the recipe for the anvil, which allows the reforging of trinkets for 3 iridium bars. Towards the end of the day, I made sure to get my farmhouse moved and decided to move a couple more buildings around to suit the new plans I had for designing the farm. I spent the rest of the day laying out more new paths to connect the buildings I'd just moved. This is how it looked in the end, not too bad. Needed some improvements, but I liked it. Now, that warm air is back today, letting me know that the second summer on the farm has arrived. No letting the bright sun get to me, I made sure to go straight to clearing the debris that had formed overnight and lay out the way for vast amounts of summer crops I had plans for. A quick stop at Pierre's later, I picked up at least one of each seed as expected for all the recipes I needed to cook. The main crop I had plans for are blueberries and melons, both the best summer money makers. Late in the afternoon I had more designing to do, and I also picked up the mermaid's pendant a few days ago, which meant I could ask Emily to marry me soon, which would be a great invite to invite someone else onto the farm. I do need marriage however for this run, as it is required to obtain a star drop which your spouse gives you at max hearts. Another Monday meant another quest from Mr. Key, and after making a stop at his walnut room, I picked up Key's Cuisine, which required me to ship 100,000 G worth of freshly cooked items, which I didn't even realise was going to be difficult. But in comparison to the other one, I had no choice. The other one required me to get 50,000 score in Junimo Cart, and I can't even get 10,000, so no chance. A large batch of starfruit was ready today inside the greenhouse, so I made sure to harvest them. I didn't keg them however, as for the Junimo huts you needed 9 starfruit. I then finally headed down to the wizard and built my first Junimo hut, which lets Junimos harvest any crops for you, which is useful for automation, but also when I'm off on Ginger Island. Overnight I had the crop fairy, which was interesting as it meant some early growth, but it was more annoying than anything as I needed to plant new crops which are all out of sync now. Although I thought today was the day I asked Emily to marry me. The scenery was perfect, on Ginger Island. She said yes, and lets me know that she'll be planning everything and the event will be happening in 3 days. Can't wait. After that distraction I forgot everything I wanted to do today, so I spent most of the day cooking and catching any fish I missed. For more designing on day 144, I had plans to fill the entire desert with oak trees and tappers on them, which is a good idea for most of the year, although now there is a desert festival that takes up the entire desert. That means next spring the whole farm would have to be mined, which was a problem. But I went with it anyway, as there was over 4 seasons until then, and I had no issue letting the tappers do their jobs until then. For some reason I decided to extend the pathway into the bus stop. I had some bold plans that I wanted to decorate the entire valley, which would be a tough task, but I would love to slowly work on it throughout 300 days. I just needed ideas really on what I should build in each area of the valley. Please drop your ideas in the comments, I'll try and build them in 300 days and shout you out accordingly. Just a reminder, I'm slowly growing my army of ancient fruit inside the greenhouse. By the time everyone grows, I place it straight into the seed maker and get it planted down again. A funny moment today as I try and catch the angler fish in the summer. And if you don't know, the angler is a fall exclusive fish. God, I thought I was getting better at this game. After a quick look on the wiki, I find out that it's not the angler fish that you can catch in fall, but instead the crimson fish. After some hard fighting, I managed to catch it before the early evening. Day 146 was the day of the wedding, and the bright sun was shining on as the whole town has gathered for the event. Even Clint, I could see, was holding in the tears. Have that, Clint. The event was great, and we officially married by Mayor Lewis. Let's enjoy the ceremony. For the first time this morning, I awakened to Emily in the farmhouse, who greets me good morning. This is nice. Although I had a goal to achieve, I couldn't stay around for too long. I spent some time ticking off some crafting recipes I hadn't gotten yet, and got around to crafting the new anvil, which was useless as I hadn't got a trinket yet to reforge it. I then had the worst fishing session of my life, as I spent a whole 15 minutes on floor 60 of the mines trying to catch the ice pip, which I didn't even get in the end. Oh god, I hate fishing. A big batch of star fruits were ready to harvest on Ginger Island, which was nice, and I spent the morning trying to catch the octopus on the island, which I hooked it a few times, but it got the best of me. Is it just me, or is the octopus really difficult to catch? In a fit of rage for not catching it, I headed straight to bed. The first week in summer had gone by on the farm and was warmly greeted by Emily this morning. I placed the starfruit I had harvested yesterday straight into the kegs and turned them into starfruit wine. I'm not even sure what I did today. Watching the footage back, I have no idea. I was just walking around, fishing and doing random tasks. Another Monday meant another quest from Mr. Key, and I chose Danger in the Skull Caverns, which tasked me on reaching floor 100 with way stronger enemies. I thought it wouldn't be too bad, but god, I was wrong. I spent the rest of the day cooking and preparing for the tough dive into Skull Caverns in the morning. Day 150 officially marks the halfway stage of the 200 days, and I've already done so much, but as you'll see in the second half of the video, things are going to get much, much harder. Of course, as it stands, I haven't even reached any 3 of my goals I set out at the beginning of the video. Will I even have enough time to finish them? Entering the new dangerous caverns, I'm instantly thrown into a fight with the new serpents, which are just much longer and have lots more health. Although I did make sure to bring as much food as possible. Overall, it was a tough dive, using up most of my food items, and late into the day I reached floor 100 to finish the quest from Mr. Key. This is what I ended the day with, not too bad. Just a reminder, if you're enjoying the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, it really does help me out as it takes so long to make these videos. And without further promotion, let's continue. Overnight I hear some strange noises which appear otherworldly, and it turns out that a strange alien capsule had appeared on the farm and appeared to have something moving inside of it. Why? The first bananas had grown on the banana tree inside the greenhouse, which I made sure to ship one and keep one for a quest on Ginger Island. I also finally removed the old tree farm just above the animal pen and took all my tappers and placed them on the trees in the desert. I took a banana to this place in the jungle to witness a gorilla come out and give me 3 golden walnuts in exchange for the banana. I wanted to spend more key gems in the Mr. Key store, which offered me tons of overpowered items. Of course, it sells a lot of recipes, which I would need to buy all of them to achieve perfection. I just decided to buy the heavy tapper recipe and magic bait recipe. The heavy tapper is the same as the normal tapper, but works quicker, and the magic bait allows any fish to be caught in the right place regardless of the season, which would be helpful if I miss any fish. I then bump into a strange man inside the dig site, which was a new NPC in the 1.6 called Fizz, who claims to add 1% to the perfection tracker for a whopping 500,000 G, which is just way too expensive, and I didn't want to use it anyways. It's kind of cheating, maybe. Summer 11 is the day of the Lualu festival, and I made sure to smoke a super cucumber, as that's a loved item for the soup. Before the festival, I added a new area just below the crop section, where I wanted to store various machines such as preserves jars and animal products. As with every Lualu, the festival wasn't too exciting. It's definitely one of the least interesting festivals, as there isn't really much to do. The governor loved the soup and everyone managed to have a bowl. Not bad. One of my fish ponds requested a rainbow shell today, and I made sure it got it in good time. The rest of my starfruit were ready for collection on Ginger Island, and after satisfyingly harvesting them all, I made sure to plant new ones in their place. With the extra starfruit, I began to fill the new kegs in the quarry full of them, hopefully making me thousands, which I obviously did need if I wanted to build all 4 obelisks. My melons were ready for harvest on the rainy day of 154 and made sure to replenish them at Piers to keep a swift stock of them. Another batch of starfruit was ready today for collection, which would further boost my gold banks. Without much to do today, I further extended the path, allowing enough room for 2 more fish ponds. The more money making things on the farm, the better. A strange green mist covers the valley once again on day 155, as the green rain had returned from last year. Although this year I received no letter from Gus, as most villagers aren't worried about it anymore. Of course, now the valley is covered in weeds and mossy trees, I made sure to once again take full advantage of it, by harvesting as much fibres and moss as I could be bothered to. I did need 999 for the farming mastery statue, so this event will be a godsend for crafting that. And that's exactly how I spent the rest of the day. Won't bore you with the details, you know exactly what I was doing here. I was awakened the next morning, the green rain had faded overnight and the valley returned to its normal sunny look. Although, as usual, I attended my normal Monday chores, which consisted of picking a new special order and quest for Mr. Key. Now I had a bunch of preserve jars I will be filling with roe from the fish ponds and fruit from the trees. I won't mention it every time I do it, but just to remember that it's a task I'll be doing every few days. Harvesting the trees, placing them in the preserve jars. The goal today was to completely fill the entire island farm with star fruits and have all tiles filled with them. And after a quick trip to Sandy's later, I picked over 900 starfruit and headed straight to the island to begin laying out my sprinklers. It took most of the day, but by 6 PM I was just watering them. But I didn't forget to pick up a quest from Mr. Key which tasked me at reaching 50,000 on Junimo Kart. Which I don't know why I chose, as there's no way I'd ever do that. I finished up on the island by adding a nice little pathway around the crops for ease of access and just aesthetics really. The morning of day 157 I headed to Ginger Island to deal with some loose chores, such as mining in the dig site and panning for the lucky ring. In the evening I tried my best at Junimo Kart, which, as you would guess, did terribly at, only reaching just over 10,000 score, nowhere near the 50,000 I needed for Mr. Key's quest. I spent a lot of time this morning crafting as many items as possible. I needed to craft every single item in the whole game to achieve perfection, and I hadn't made much work on it yet. This is how I used up some time today. Well, I say some time, but I mean the whole damn day. It was rough, but worth it. It was raining again on day 159, where I'm greeted at my door by Sam requesting I would come to watch his band play in Zuzu City, which I don't care for. Sorry, Sam. Another huge batch of jelly was ready to collect in the preserve jars, which, although they don't sell for a lot, it's more than what the base price is. I made sure to smelt ores today, as I used quite a lot of crafting recipes yesterday and I didn't have many left. Another batch of starfruit wine was ready, which took up most of the time harvesting this morning. It may seem as though I'm skipping over days here really quickly, but most of them are spent doing boring repetitive tasks, such as clearing debris or crafting, which I wouldn't want to bore you with. It was Demetrius' birthday today, so I made sure he got his strawberry, which brought the friendship up to max. One less more to do now. I do head to the saloon to buy some gifts for the villagers. I wanted to focus on a bit more on friendships now, as they will become long if you don't start them early. On my way home, I'm jumped by Sam, who forces me onto the bus to Zuzu City to watch him play. I mean, it looks like Emily enjoyed it, but I was just giving him the 1,000-yard stare. After the performance, I had to make Emily book an appointment for me at the doctor's as I couldn't hear anymore. Thanks a lot, Sam. The Trout Derby had returned today and I was looking forward to a different pace of my work, which was slowly becoming quite repetitive. Similar to last year, I made sure to use the bait maker to get as many rainbow trout as possible to increase my chance at the tickets. I don't stay too long as the starfruit wine was calling me from the kegs on the farm. As well as that, the kegs were ready for collection in the quarry. I wanted to wait until both were done as I wanted them to be synchronised together. After receiving my gold from the starfruit wine, I grabbed up 10 clams, 10 corals, combined with 5 iridium bars to construct my first obelisk, the beach obelisk. That means I only needed 3 more to complete one of my goals. The main concern for the obelisks, however, was the price, as the beach and the mountain ones were 500,000 G each. The desert and the island one cost 1 mil gold each, which was 3 million gold in total, which is just insane. Alongside I need 10 million for the golden clock, which is required for perfection. Got a lot of work to do. I spent the rest of the day inside the confines of the volcano in search for more dragon teeth. As I know, I needed at least 10 for the island obelisk. First order of business was to head to Robbins to commission a new fish pond for the farm. I wasn't sure what fish I wanted to place in it, perhaps the stingray, as they have a chance to give dragon teeth, which I did need a lot of. I made sure to restock on resources at Clint's as I was using up a lot through crafting in preserve jars. I crafted 26 more preserve jars and 17 more kegs to place in the respective areas. The rest of the day was more of the same, reaching 77 kegs by the end of the day. Now my resources were officially drained. I had hardly no wood, copper, which I'm going to have to buy a lot more of. Being a Sunday, I made sure to train all my jades inside the crystallariums for staircases at the Desert Trader. Lastly, I placed the kegs in the quarry. I hope to completely fill it with kegs by the end of the 200 days, but that was definitely a tough task. I had reached enough experience to obtain the last and final mastery inside the cave, the fishing mastery. The fishing mastery gives you the advanced iridium rod, which you can have 2 bobbers attached at once, alongside the crafting recipe for the challenge bait, which every time a fish escapes, the bar is reduced, but it means you catch triple the fish. And finally I can now fish up golden treasure chests, which are just a buffed up version of the normal treasure chests. With that final mastery, a strange thing happened. All these blue lights came on at once and I see Grandpa's blue hat in the corner. It's a really heartwarming moment. I also get a message letting me know that I feel Grandpa's hand patting me on the shoulder. Damn, that hits deep. The last week of summer is here, but a lot of work to be done, so no time to waste. I picked up the extended family quest from Mr. Key, which in 3 days requires you to catch all the legendary fish once again, but with a slight variation. I managed to buy over 800 deluxe speed growth from Pierre's, which I placed on all my starfruit on Ginger Island. For the Mr. Key quest, you don't get a lot of time, so I headed to the beach to catch the first one. I didn't manage to catch it and moved on to the sewers to catch the radioactive carp, which didn't give me much trouble. Late into the night, I headed up to the mountain to catch the Legend 2, which I didn't get. Not to worry, there were still 2 days left. I forgot to mention I managed to plant the new Mystic Tree, and I placed a tapper on it and received the new Mystic Syrup, which had some uses in crafting, and I needed at least one to ship for the collect. The family quest had to be a priority, so I headed down to the beach and using some fishing buffs, managed to catch the Son of the Crimson Fish. Mrs. Angular was next, which I managed to catch in only 2 casts. The Legend 2 gave me some hard times, but I caught it eventually. The last one was the Glacier Fish Jr., which I caught in the first cast, completing the extended family quest, receiving 20 key gems. The rain continues through day 165 as I headed to Clint's to send off my pan to upgrade to Iridium. I then again try and catch the anglerfish in the summer, even though it was a fall exclusive. I get so confused when it comes to fishing. I decided it was because of all the overworking I was doing and decided to take some time off by inviting Emily to the cinema to watch a movie with me. The movie was great and it was Journey of the Prairie King, which both me and Emily really enjoyed, and gave me a much deserved break. Before I called it in for the night, I once again headed to the desert to harvest all my oak resin from the tree farm. Another batch of melons were ready for harvesting today, which is great considering it had been horrible weather over the last few days. Added to that, another batch of starfruit was ready in the greenhouse, which I could add to the cake soon enough. The entire Ginger Island farm was ready for collection of starfruit, and thank God the Iridium harvesting over 300 starfruit one by one would take forever. The rest of the day was spent replanting starfruit and kegging them, the usual but quite repetitive tasks. The rain is once again back today, although the mood is lifted when Emily hands me another star drop for completing a certain level of friendship with her. I'm pretty sure that means that there's only one left, which was from Willy for catching every single fish in the game, meaning I was one step closer to completing one of my 3 goals. It was Leo's birthday today, and because he was at 0 hearts, I gave him the star drop tea, which only did 3 hearts, which was less than I expected, but still quite nice. I checked the perfection tracker to see I'm up to 39%, which was better than before, but still a lot of work to do. While I was in the store, I brought 4 pressure nozzles from Mr. Key for 20 key gems, which when applied to Iridium sprinklers, extends the reach of them by 1 more row, which is just insane. I wanted to create a new area for my new pressure nozzles to go, so I mined the wall of the animal pan and placed 4 more sprinklers with the new pressure nozzles. Although it would mean the animals would escape, I had plans to move them anyway, so it wouldn't be too much of an issue. This is how the crop area looked in the end, not too bad. Looking forward to growing more crops on there. I finished off mining the rest of the wall in order to expand the path. I head to Robin's to build another fish pond, meaning I'd have 4 fish ponds full on the farm, a feat I've probably never done before. I was then back once again trying to catch the angler in the summer. I'm starting to get flashbacks to when I spent the last 100 days trying to catch the shad in the river when it needed to be raining. I thought I was getting better at this game. After rechecking the wiki, I found out it can only be caught in fall, again, and rage slept to bed. The last day of summer is here and I had to make sure I'd done everything I needed to do before fall, as I would have to wait until next year to do it again. I spent the early morning expanding the path around the bottom and the far left of the farm, an area I had neglected until now. This is the space I had plans to with my animals, as there wasn't much room for crops and it was kind of out of the way. Of course, Summer 28 is the Dance of the Moonlight Jellies, which I actually remembered was happening today, which I completely forgot last year. Similar to the Lualu, there isn't really much to do, but I enjoyed the jellyfish. It's a very calming festival as it signifies the moving on of seasons, and every year the jellyfish arrive to introduce the passage into fall. Let's enjoy it. That chillin'. That chill in the air returns as the beginning of fall has begun. I make sure to clear the old crops out and re-tilled the tiles for more crops to plant this fall. With the new pressure nozzle sprinkler area, I could plant way more crops than I did last season. I mostly wanted pumpkins, but as every other season I make sure to buy at least one of every seed. I ended up buying over 200 pumpkins and 300 cranberries, which is way more than I needed. A new quest from Mr. Key was available today, and I decided to pick up 4 precious stones, which quested me to find 4 prismatic star shards and place them in his logbox. Now it was full, the angler would spawn in the river, which meant I could catch ticking it off that fish. I wanted to get straight into completing the quest from yesterday, so I dived straight into the skull caverns with the hopes of getting the 4 prismatic shards. Quite luckily I got one from a treasure floor on floor 13, which was a surprise. Today is the day, however, I get my hands on one of those rare equipables from the mastery, the trinket. This one I got summoned a fairy which would follow me and heal me whenever I take damage. And quite luckily it was already level 4, which was the max, I think, which means I wouldn't need to reforge it at the new anvil. This 1.6 update just gets better and better. I love this new trinket feature. Maybe a goal for 300 days should be to obtain them all and show them all off. I spent the entire day in the skull caverns and faint when 2 AM comes. I awaken back home on day 172 to the news that Emily's expecting a child, which is great. Another person that'll be joining us on the farm. I didn't manage to get all 4 prismatic shards I needed yesterday, so without wasting any time I hopped back into the skull caverns in a hunt for the last one I needed. It actually turned out to be a really successful run, and I had over 100 iron and gold and managed to get the prismatic shard I needed alongside over 100 iridium ore, getting all the way to floor 144 before I passed out. After 2 rough days, I wanted to take the time to finish off some loose quests and take things much slower today. I did manage to find an autopatty yesterday, which I made sure to place inside the coop to produce more for my animals. The starfruit wine in the shed in the quarry was ready today and would seriously boost my gold now, hopefully giving me enough to buy the next obelisk. I made sure to drop off the prismatic shards in Mr. Key's lockbox before buying the hyper speed grow recipe. It's a bit too pricey to craft, but I do need to craft all items and hyper speed grow was one of them. I wrap up the day chopping every tree in Cindersat Forest to replenish my wood storage. Overnight I awakened to find Emily had given birth to a child, which I named Jims, and welcomed another friend onto the farm. Now might be a good time to update you on my ancient fruit process in the greenhouse. It's just getting there and is nearly full of ancient fruit. It was Elliot's birthday today and I made sure he got a lobster, which is a little gift for him. I once again tried my luck panning for the lucky ring on Ginger Island, and it comes as no surprise I didn't get it. The island is back full of starfruit today, which just looks so damn good. Not much happened today, I just finished off some fetch quests and made many more cakes to place inside the quarry. Today's the day I finally moved the animals today, which was something I wanted to do for a while but hadn't got round to it yet. I also made it sure I had enough resources to build a stable to get my hands on a horse for ease of access riding around the valley. It's now I noticed that the strange alien capsule that had disappeared ages ago had smashed and whatever was inside was gone. Oh god, what is this thing and why am I scared? I spent some time creating an area above the sheds for some beehives to go. I hoped to plant some flowers around them, which if you didn't know, boosted the amount of gold you get for each one, depending on the type of flower, with fairy rose being the best. This is how it looked by the end of the night. It needed some improvements, but it worked for now. Another Monday meant another Mr. Key quest, which I chose the Prismatic Grange, which required I ship 100 of 6 different coloured items, which was actually quite difficult. For some reason I decided to glitch out the map using the scythe today, which slowly pushed the player in a certain direction. While I was outside the void, I clipped into the wall and had to wait there the entire day until I passed out at 2 AM, which wasted an entire day because I am very stupid. I spent the morning of day 178 cooking. I wanted to check off as many more recipes as I could, as there's a damn well lot of them. Task of checking what I needed, walking to the shed, walking back to the house, took the entire day, but I did manage to check off loads of recipes. Most of the recipes I didn't have yet were locked through friendship, which I would need to max out for perfection anyway. I then went back to that Joja parrot I found all the way on the first day on Ginger Island and paid him to find the rest of the golden walnuts on the island. Even though you might think this is cheating, it is a legit feature and there was only a few left through monster drops anyway, which I didn't really want to grind for, and was a new feature in 1.6, so I just had to see what it did. More boring crafting saw out the rest of day 179. I won't talk you through it, as you would fall asleep. Although my starfruit had finished in the kegs, and I quickly collected and refilled them before the end of the night. Paying the Joja parrot to find the rest of the walnuts gave me the most funniest new cutscenes in 1.6, as it shows someone we haven't seen in over a year, Morris, who after a quick paycheck is sunbathing on Ginger Island, while the parrots I paid goes to find the golden walnuts for him. Just so funny. So this is what he's been up to since Pierre punched him silly. God, I love this game. After selling in the wine overnight, I had enough money to build my second obelisk, the Desert Wobelisk, for a whopping 1 million gold, alongside 20 iridium bars, 10 cactus fruit, and 10 coconuts. Seeing I needed 10 dragon teeth for the island obelisk with only 20 days to go, led me straight back into the volcano to grind for more. And if I don't get enough by the end of the 200 days, I would have failed one of my goals set out at the beginning of the video. I had finally had enough ancient fruit in the greenhouse to fully fill it with ancient fruit, which was awesome. And then put my focus on catching any fish I needed to catch for the last star drop from Willy, which took up the most of the rest of my day. More fishing today, I needed a couple random fish any normal player wouldn't normally catch, such as the goby and the scorpion carp. The rest of the day was spent wandering around the valley giving gifts for quests and buying a new hat from the hat mouse, the jester hat, because I'm a clown. I took my horse out for the first time tonight up to the mountain lake to catch the midnight carp, which I apparently hadn't gotten yet. Something quite strange happened from day 183 to 85, which I lost the footage for. Although nothing much really happened, it was just the day of the Stardew Valley Fair, which I'd already gotten everything I needed last year and didn't need anything apart from the rare crow and the prize ticket. I also obtained the hot Java ring from the volcano, which I spent most of the days in farming for dragon teeth. I also took the Mr. Key's quest from the notorious Mr. Key, which quested me to ship 100 key fruit, which is very, very difficult quest. To get key fruit, you have to find these key beans, which have a small chance to appear by doing any task, and is known to be very, very difficult, which I just begun starting on, which consisted of growing them and placing them in the seed makers, rinse and repeat. Although I only had 14 days to do this and would be really hard to complete, as each of them take over 3 days to grow, which then place back in the seed maker, to place back in the ground, and I needed to get 500 of them by the end of the season. Footage is back on fall 17, and after a nice greeting from Emily in the morning led me to harvesting another batch of starfruit wine which I'd finished overnight. During the lost footage days I had also another pumpkin harvest which I made sure to replant. I spent the rest of the day fishing in the ocean for some key beans, which can be found randomly while fishing, and mostly in treasure chests. On the way home I had a cutscene with Abigail where she was angry at Pierre for controlling her and making her be more traditional. What a weirdo. Him and Clint are honestly public enemies number 1 and 2. This is how many key beans I had growing, not that many, but every day it's getting doubled. Some key fruits had grown overnight which went straight into the seed maker to plant more key beans. I headed over to the wizard to buy my third obelisk, the earth obelisk, meaning that was only the hardest one left to complete my goal. I crafted up the new treasure totem for the perfection and used it for the first time on Ginger Island, which was cool, but would be more useful if I needed the artifacts. Another good way to obtain key beans is through geodes, so I took all my Omni geodes up to Clint to get my hands on more. In a golden coconut, I managed to get the last bone I needed to finish the field office for Professor Snail, which he gave me some golden walnuts in response. I had to craft more sprinklers to plant all the key fruits I needed, which I made sure to do by the end of the day. I did notice that the animals were wandering all over the farm, so I decided to rebuild the wall around the new area for them to roam in. This is the design I went with. It looks decent, not perfect. Day 188 begins with me chucking my baby up and down, as children are basically useless and do nothing in this game, but cool nonetheless. Back to the volcano today, hunting for, you guessed it, dragon teeth. Not too bad today, managed to get 2 more to add to the storage. Before I called it in for the night, I expanded my key bean farm to plant new key beans I'd obtained from the volcano trip. I also got another trinket today, but it wasn't that good. It was the golden spur, which boosted crit chance, I think. I don't know. It definitely wasn't as good as the fairy. Before I'm going to bed at 1:30 AM, I receive a phone call, which was from a pre-recorded message in a foreign language which I couldn't understand at all. Why does this game just have so many random creepy moments? More key fruits are ready today, which go straight into the seed maker, then back into the ground, the usual process. In the volcano today I obtained my third trinket, the magic quiver, which shoots a magic arrow at nearby enemies, and after some testing found out it was really bad. It would just miss its shot so much. Just have a look, it's trash. The last 10 days in the valley is here and almost the end of 200 days is upon us. In the morning I have a cutscene with Emily who tasked me in gathering 200 fibres for a secret project she's working on. Back to the normal key fruit grind today with all my crops doubling every few days. I was in a good mood today and decided to buy a house upgrade which would allow me to access the cellar, which isn't really useful anymore, but why not? Of course I'm back on Ginger Island to get more dragon teeth. I really didn't want to fail my goal of building all 4 obelisks, so as you know I spent most of the time over the next few days trying to get enough. Before I left I remembered to grab the ostrich egg from the dig spot after receiving the journal scrap, and because I finished the field office for Professor Snail, I can now craft the ostrich incubator to get my own ostrich on the farm. I didn't need an ostrich egg for the collection, so I would need to have one on the farm anyway at some point. More key beans farming today as I didn't have a lot of time before the end of the quest. I managed to hand Emily the 200 fibre she had requested and says she will reveal her secret in the coming days, which definitely intrigued me. I was in dire need of more crop space for the key bean quest, so I expanded the crop fields to the south of the farm. It was another Monday, so another key quest was available. I picked up Key's Kindness, which required I give 50 love gifts in 1 week, which was tough, but it would kill 2 birds with 1 stone, as it would force me to do villager friendships, which I needed to max out for perfection. Once again in the volcano, saw out the rest of the day, hoping that would be the last time I needed to come here, as it was getting really repetitive and I did combine some of my rings today at the mini forge, which allows me to have more buffs on, as there's only 2 slots. Last night I managed to fill my inventory with love gifts, which I had plans to hand around the town today to work towards the key quest. Giving gifts as well as key bean farming was most of how I spent day 192. I won't bore you with it, as it consisted of walking around the valley trying to find villagers. I won't keep mentioning it, but I remember I'm constantly harvesting starfruit on Ginger Island and kegging them. I do this every few days to boost my gold, and I know you'll stand hearing me repeat starfruit can get very repetitive. The last 7 days of the 200 days has arrived, and I'm already worried as I've only completed 1 out of the 3 goals I set myself at the beginning of the video. Will I manage to get my hands on the last obelisk and the star drop in the next 7 days? Stay tuned to find out. More giving gifts and harvesting starfruit on the island took up most of the day. I also left a large spot on the farm for key beans to go, as I was starting to get a lot of them and was running out of the room on the main farm. More of the same on day 194, but today I found out I can change my profession, which would make the key beans grow a whole day earlier, which might just be enough for me to finish this impossible quest. And that's exactly what I did, and after paying the bear statue 10,000 G in the sewers, overnight I could change my profession. Overnight I could change my farming profession to agriculturalist to make crops grow 10% faster, which is just enough to mean load of key fruit had grown overnight, giving me more time which was in the balance to finishing this quest. Once again, more seed making and planting on the island farm and the main farm. In the morning of day 196, I'm filled with worry, and I begin to think I won't have enough key fruits to complete the quest, as it was the 27th of the month. There now wouldn't be enough time to plant any more. So that meant whatever I had growing was the only ones I could ship, and had to pray I had done enough. My greenhouse was full of ancient fruit, which I could place inside the preserve jars. A huge batch of pumpkins were also done today, which I also kept for preserve jars. Of course, 427 is the day of Spirit's Eve, and to my surprise, the maze was different this year, which actually stumped me. And I got stuck on this section as I couldn't figure out a way through. After some troubles, I finally managed to get up to the chest and receive a prize ticket. I liked it, it was different in this update, it definitely spices up the event as a whole. Final day of 4 and only 3 days left of the 200 days. Although it did seem things were looking up, as I awakened today to see that Emily has made me an entire new outfit, which actually looked really good. Which is why Emily is the best candidate, as no other spouse does as good as this. As well as that, I'm shocked to see an extremely rare thing on my farm, a giant key crop. The look is crazy, and the best thing about it, like all the other rare giant crops, it doesn't disappear even after the quest is complete. This really makes me want to obtain all the giant crops in the next 100 days. Just look how cool it is, I love it. There isn't much for me to do today, as it was the end of the season. I spent most of it giving love gifts for the key quest and harvesting all the key fruits I had left, and hoped it was enough to complete the quest. I was filled with joy as I go to bed to find out I'd shipped just enough to finish the quest, putting me on a whopping 145 key gems. What a crazy end to the season. The end of the season brings a new snowy plateau to the valley, and I had a lot to do to finish all the goals I set out. And as I leave my cabin, all the crops had gone and the ground is now too cold to grow anything. Winter 1 was of course Krobus' birthday, so I made sure to give him a horseradish, which he loves. While I'm in the sewers, I buy the new wizard catalogue to customise my house, as I wanted to leave the last few days for decorating, just like I did in the last 100 days. I picked up the 4 prismatic shards quest again from Mr. Key, and checked the perfection tracker to see it was 59%, which was really good going into the next 100 days. I spent most of the key gems and all the recipes I needed, and also the horse flute, which would allow me to summon the horse whenever I wanted. I'm once again back in the volcano with the hopes of getting the rest of the dragon teeth I needed for the island obelisk. Talk about leaving things late. I reached the top by 8 PM and managed to get all the dragon teeth I needed. Then headed to the wizards to spend 1 million gold, 10 iridium bars, 10 dragon teeth, and 10 bananas to build the 4th and final obelisk, completing my second goal of the 100 days. I just can't believe I've done this, it was so close, but I did it. Day 199 to 200. There wasn't long left to finish that last goal, so I headed out as soon as possible to catch the last fish I needed to get. Before that, something quite funny happened. And if you didn't know, spoiler warning now. In the new 1.6 update, there was a Terraria collab, which if you take an ancient doll and throw it into the lava, a bone serpent appears to give you a warp pylon, which if you bring to this area in the Wizard's Tower, opens a portal, which a cat gives you the Meowmere sword from Terraria. But in my case, it happened and completely froze and softlocked my game. That's great, which meant I had to restart the entire day, which I guess means I'll have to leave that Easter egg alone for now then. After restarting, it didn't take me long to catch up and catch the last remaining fish I needed for the last star drop from Willy, which would have to wait until the final day to send me in the mail. Very close again, Jesus. And then spent the last few days decorating the house and the farm. Well, more so the house, using the wizard core decorations, which I just love. This is how the house looked by the end of the 200 days. I just loved it. And obviously in 300 days I hope to buy more rooms to decorate. And I just love these loose books. I made a room in the top left where I placed some bones and the new mannequins. On day 200 I received the star drop in the mail from Willy, completing all 3 goals I set out, which was just crazy. I aimed to set these crazy goals, knowing they would be nearly impossible to do, but I still did it anyway. I would love if you guys could suggest even harder goals for me to complete in the next 300 days video, but this was definitely one of the best achievements I've ever made in this game. And that's it, the 200 days is over. And I set off some fireworks from the casino to celebrate. I first wanted to say thank you so much for the huge support on my first 100 days video, and I'll try to continue to deliver so much going forward. I've tried to reply to every comment I can, and I love reading through them and listening to some of your advice, and answering some of my questions I had. But if I did miss you, I apologise, and if you have any suggestions for goals in 300 days, please comment them below, especially plans for decorating the entire valley, which I'll pick out the good ones and shout you out accordingly. And if you enjoy, please like and subscribe, as it seriously helps me out, and thank you for watching. Yes everyone, we are back, and unfortunately our journey must come to an end at some point, although we have yet to achieve perfection. If you are enjoying the series, leaving a like and subscribing will be greatly appreciated. And without further delay, for the final time, this is how far I can get in 300 days of Stardew Valley 1.6. We ended off in the snowy fields of Pelican Town last video, which is the perfect place to begin the next 300 days. Of course this will sadly be the last 100 days on the farm, although that's still a long way away and we still have so much to do. Today began with me planting so many powder melon seeds as possible, and with not many goals to achieve, I definitely wanted to have all 5 giant crops on the farm, with the hardest one being the key fruit already on the farm. Once I settled back into the farming life, I had time to remember the goals I had ahead of me, which led me to work towards the Monster Slayer goals. Using some trusty monster musk, I spent the whole day inside the caverns. After a productive beginning towards the end, I received a lovely gift from my wife, which certainly brightened my mood this morning. The warm climate on Ginger Island had led me to the rest of my starfruit being fully grown today, which meant I could begin the kegging saga once again. I did come back to see my wife breaking it down on the beach, living her best life. Late into the night, Robin had finished the construction of a new house for Pam and Penny, which they loved. He even drove Pam to tears. I begin the day greeting my family members and committing on some work farm chores. I forgot to mention in the last video I did manage to buy the Statue of Endless Fortune, which would grant you a love birthday gift when it was the villager's birthday, which was very helpful in working towards the friendship goals. It was Caroline's birthday today and I made sure to gift her a fish taco, which brought her up to max friendship. I had a quest from Mr. Key which tasked me in finding 4 prismatic shards, and so leaving it to the last possible day, I made sure to head into the dangerous skull caverns and find them. The beginning of a new week meant another quest from Mr. Key, which I chose Danger in the Skull Caverns, which quested me to reach floor 100, with tougher, more dangerous enemies. Not to worry however, as there's no challenge I cannot complete. Although my courage would have to wait as the Festival of Ice was today. And of course, I won, being the skilled fisherman I am, even though my wife Emily appeared to be more interested in what the other contestants were doing. I start the day by refilling all of my kegs with starfruit. I needed to reach a whopping 10 million gold by the end of the 300 days in order to purchase the golden clock. From this point onward, I would try my hardest to not spend any more gold to get the clock as soon as possible. Of course, the Dangerous Skull Caverns quest was on the cards today, which proved a tough challenge, with a bunch of tough monsters. It was late into the night, but I managed to conquer it. I leave almost immediately after seeing how many bugs are on this floor. Oh, not my problem. Bye bye. I'd had enough of how messy the farm looks on Ginger Island, which I wanted to change up. I spent most of the day here, but after applying some new pressure nozzles, this is how the new island farm looks. Much better. Today I took my pine cones to the raccoon's wife to trade them for some more powder melon seeds. I really wanted to get his giant form, and this was a great way to obtain many more seeds. I took today to attend to some of the help wanted quests I have accumulated over the few days. One of them was to catch 20 lakefish, which saw out most of day 107. which saw out most of day 207. The next day I'm delighted to find a giant powder melon which I sprung overnight, which filled me with joy. The giant crops just look so good, especially as a decoration piece. My future decoration plans would have to wait as I had a really busy farm to run and the golden clock to work towards. I'm surprised to find out today is the return of the Squid Fest, which I wanted to participate in to receive all the rewards it could give me. Although, without my bait maker, I was unsure whether I could catch enough. I wasn't wrong, and I struggled to catch any more than 4. Disappointing, I rode my trusty steed back home. Leaving the beach, I see the most frightening encounter ever. A strange, alien-like creature running across my screen. Perhaps it was the creature that broke out the capsule I had on the farm in the last video. Very scary. After a frightening end to day 208, today was much less scary. My greenhouse was covered in ancient fruit which I made sure to store to preserve later down the line. I took today to work towards getting more cooking recipes I needed to cook. With perfection looming, the need for spending these boring days filled with cooking and crafting were essential in achieving the goal. I figured out you can instantly swap your current outfit on for that on the mannequin. Quite a random feature which I appeared to be quite excited about. I wanted to start using the produce from my animals to good use, so I crafted up more cheese presses and mayonnaise machine. I needed as many ways as possible in making money if I was to ever get the golden clock. I did expand my crystallariums to begin collecting more jades, which as you would know can be traded for staircases in the skull caverns. Early the next day I headed up to Robin's to buy another barn, although it would allow me to house more lovely animals. I ended up never using it. It was Harvey's birthday today, and so I made sure to hand him a bottle of wine, which he loved. Shouldn't a doctor be against wine? Anyway, I had some bold plans to begin aging as much goat's cheese as possible, and if you aren't aware, single iridium quality goat's cheese sells for 1,120 gold, with the boost from the artisan profession. A quick trip up to Marnie's later, I purchased enough goats to completely fill my barn. Another batch of starfruit wine had finished brewing in the night, which was my first order of business this morning. Again, another new week meant another quest from Mr. Key, and I chose Mr. Key's kindness quest, which quested me to give out 50 love gifts. The villagers must get pretty tired of how many items I'm giving them at the moment. Tonight was a return of the night market, which meant a free warm mug of coffee. I made sure to buy the painting and check out the stores for any goodies it may have in store for me. For the first time I watched the Weird Mermaid show, and struggled to find out how to obtain the free pearl from the secret note. This morning saw a return to the desert to purchase a boatload more starfruits to plant on the island farm. While I was here I took some time to play on the slots inside the casino, and of course knowing me I didn't do too well, although I did hit 3 milks, which gave me enough tokens for the rare crow. After over 200 days of hardship, back at the dig site, I get my hands on the lucky ring. Finally, after all this time. Although it had come at an awkward time as there wasn't really going to be many uses for it. I remembered to head to the night market again today where I picked up the painting and 2 suits of armour for decorations that I added later on. Winter 17 was of course the wizard's birthday, so I made sure to ride down to his tower to hand him a super cucumber. Weird gift, but he loved it. On the topic of gifting, I spent time today handing out gifts to villagers all over Pelican Town to work towards finishing the quest from Mr. Key, while also working on my friendships along the way. I doubled back to the wizard's tower later in the afternoon to move my obelisks. I wasn't using them that much and wanted more room to decorate. They still had a nice area to go, right next to Grandpa's shrine. Before I headed to bed, more decorating was on the cards, with me creating a new area for some trees to go. More decorating in the morning with the newly expanded beehive area. Once the season changes over, I'll be able to plant flowers near them, almost doubling the profits of honey. Unsure what task to tackle today, I remembered to hand out more love gifts to villagers to keep up with the quest. I also tended to another large batch of starfruit wine, which I'd finished in the quarry. This will put my total gold on near to 3 million, still a long way to go to afford the notorious golden clock. My powder melons had fully grown overnight. Sadly, no more giant crop. Not to worry, I made sure to reseed them and plant bigger batch for better chances. The raccoon neighbours had requested I bring them 4 pieces of coral and 3 topazes, which after handing them to him, presented me with a jungle tank, a lovely enclosure for my fish to go. Evelyn's birthday had rolled around once again, so I made sure on the morning of day 216 she received a gift. The warm island across the Gem Sea is my next stop, as all of my starfruit were ready for harvest. I then took the newly acquired starfruit to the kegs, once again, something even now I'm getting bored of doing. Those pesky monster slayer goals had lingered over me for a long time now, and was finally time to cross more of them off. I took some monster musk into the caverns, and I managed to progress a great deal in them. Even after all this time I hadn't slain 500 dust sprites, those naughty creatures I swear. Yet another starfruit wine collection was the first call this morning. Very repetitive, but at least it was making me rich. Something I cannot say about my current life. Although I assured myself if I had my hands on a large tropical island filled with starfruit, in real life, I would also hold incredible wealth. Less delusions later I picked up the deconstructor and mushroom tree plant from Mr. Key, as I hadn't obtained them yet and I would love a giant mushroom on the farm to go with my giant mushroom crops. The first batch of goat's cheese began aging inside the casks in my basement tonight. I wanted to craft as many as possible, but the serious lack of wood was slowing me down. The day began with a trip down to Leah's cabin to hand her a salad for her birthday, bringing her up to max friendship. Without much on my mind today, I thought I should prepare for a big trip into the skull caverns in the morning. After a good night's rest, I popped my magic rock candy and headed into the skull caverns. While I was there, I needed a few more monster slayer goals to finish. It didn't take long to finish the Pepper X slaying goal, one of the most typically harder ones. While I was down here, I managed to collect 2 more trinkets, the ice rod and the green frog, both very interesting, although not as useful as the fairy. Wrapping up the day, I passed out on floor 131 with 2 auto petters and hundreds of iridium ore. Seeing Santa fly overnight meant only one thing: it was the Feast of the Winter Star today, a time where we can relax and forget our troubles and enjoy a full day of food and festivities. However, I was quite disappointed to realise that Clint was my secret gift giver. Although, I thought now would be the perfect time to heal our friendship, and after a quick talk with my wife Emily, she suggested I give him a piece of trash. What a wonderful idea, great minds think alike. Demetrius gave me a purple mushroom, not too bad. My fields were full of powder melons this morning, along with another giant powder melon. Isn't it beautiful? Funnily enough, it was Clint's birthday today, and after checking his store I couldn't find him. Perhaps he was still upset over the gift I gave him. A quick trip to Ginger Island later to find he wasn't there either. How strange, I couldn't find him anywhere. Today began with handing out animal crackers to my lovely animals, which despite being made of pure gold, they seemed to love them. This meant they would produce many more eggs and milk for my cheese endeavours. I then filled my inventory with some random assortment of items, which were actually not random, but were needed to complete many more cooking recipes I had left to tick off. The afternoon was spent creating a new area for my crystallariums to go. This meant I'd have many more jade to trade in for staircases. I still needed taro tubers for the shipping collection, so I made sure to get planted on Ginger Island. The best thing about taro tubers is if you don't need to water them, as long as there's near a body of water. To wrap up a stressful day, I spent the evening crafting more of those pesky recipes I needed. Day 224 officially marks the end of my second year in the valley. Although it would mean this is the last winter of the series, I still had a whole day to enjoy and look forward to what's to come. I thought I would spend today cleaning up around the farm. This started with moving all of my preserve jars, as well as tidying up the animal area, which had gotten in such a mess over the few days. Redecorating did take up most of the day, unfortunately, meaning there wasn't any time left to celebrate my final day in winter. Yes, I'm visited by the ghost of my grandpa overnight, in which he explained he was so proud of me and how far I've come, and he may finally rest. The new year is here and I'm greeted warmly by Emily this morning, wishing me a happy new year, which was nice. On the way out, I was able to see my grandpa's shrine light up with all 4 candles, and after interacting with it, I received the Statue of Perfection. I noticed that my fields were full of weeds and quickly tasked myself to clear them out. After already growing everything I needed over the last 2 years, you might be wondering what I was going to plant this year. And the answer was cauliflowers. As mentioned before, I wanted all the giant crops and I wanted the giant cauliflower. I rounded out today harvesting the full fields of star fruits on Ginger Island, as which you would know are all going straight into kegs. Speaking of keg sheds, they were bursting full late into the night, giving me the perfect opportunity to collect and refill them. The goal of today was to fish up the 5 legendary fish to complete a quest I picked up from Mr. Key yesterday. Don't get me wrong, it was tough, but no fish will best me, and after a challenging day I caught all of them in one day, which meant the key gems were now all mine. Yet today, a friendlier, much larger raccoon friend appeared in the sewers, requesting I bring him an assortment of food items. After handing him a carp and a rhubarb pie, I headed to bed. I'm straight back to the raccoon friend to offer him some crab cakes, in which in return he played some magical music to remove all the trash from the sewers area. He also gave Dusty a new house and a very large steak, which he went very crazy for. Thank you, Cam Raccoon. More gift giving today. It was Kent's birthday, so I made sure he received his gift. Those taro roots were ready for harvest today. I also remembered to ship one for the collection. I plan to have a big day for giving gifts over the next few days, so I made sure to fill my inventory with love gifts to hand out over the next couple days. These villagers must love me now. Day 228 to 244. It's this point in the video where I really didn't do a lot in these days. I spent most of it grinding in the caves with Monster Musk to work on the Monster Slayer goals, cooking and crafting, more kegging and more starfruit. I thought I'd just skip over this point as it's very repetitive and would be very boring just doing the same thing over a few days. Some things to note is I did find a new parrot trinket, which has the chance to drop gold every time I slaw an enemy, which was an incredible gold boost. Throughout these days I also constantly worked on villager friendships and also kept saving as much gold as possible towards the golden clock. At this point I was at over 7 million gold, with still a long way to go. I also did a bit of redecorating on the farm. I've tried to cover any more interesting things I did throughout the length of these few days in the video, but I didn't do a lot. One of those interesting things was a construction of a slime hutch, which on day 245 I was greeted at my door by Marlin, who joked about the art of slime farming and that's how he lost his eye, and he decided to give me a free slime egg to start. I'll try and do a tour of the new farm and show you what's new. I decided to move the fish ponds and finally build a new fence area to enclose my animals in. I laid the farm in new brick flooring, which gave me a better look at how much space I had available. I left a large space in the middle of the farm where I wanted to place the golden clock eventually. Additionally, I moved the chest area out of the shed and back onto the farm. I just felt it was very inconvenient to walk back in and out the shed all the time. I wanted to create an aquarium for all my fish to go, and the empty shed where the chests were was the best place to do so. Yet today I remembered to trade all the jades I had accumulated for more staircases, not forgetting to hand Sandy a birthday gift while I was there. My lush island farm had yet another batch of starfruit ready for kegging today. In the evening I headed up to the spa and had a very saucy cutscene with the local teacher, who I ended up kissing. Sorry Emily, it's for the friendship points, I promise. Throughout the last 20 or so days my friendship had been mostly maxed out with the strange boy Leo on the island, where we actually invited him to come live on the island with us. And after building him a wonderful treehouse and the great spot from Linus, I received a beautiful cutscene today which showed Leo interacting with the various villagers, showing me that he's fitting in just right here in Pelican Town. He was reading with Penny, fishing with Willy, and playing in the park. It's such a sweet moment to see what he was to what he is now. You should be proud of yourself, Leo. To catch you all up on the perfection tracker, I am now at 89% with all produce and forage shipped, all monster slayer goals finished, all cooking recipes were made. The only thing I needed was one more crafting recipe, which I had no idea what it was. And of course I still needed the golden clock and max friendship. I'm getting excited about how close I am now. After quickly scouting the wiki, I found out the only thing I had left to craft was the mini warp obelisk, which was a reward for completing the wizard special order. So I made sure to finish that and collect the ectoplasm from a ghost to receive the recipe in the morning. My wife reminds me that it's the annual flower dance tomorrow and that she's been practicing her moves, and we all know she can. I had a large batch of ghost seeds that I'd finished aging to iridium, which really didn't sell for as much as I thought it would. Of course, today was the day of the flower dance, which I was most excited about as it would be the last flower dance I have in the series, which was a shame, but I still remained positive. I arrived at the festival to find my child is now old enough to come, and was running in circles next to Emily, which was quite funny. I thought about who I should dance with, but in the end it had to be Emily, as she'd been so excited about it the night before. Of course I had the best dance move of them all. I call this one the forward walk. I must have put some real special fertiliser on my cauliflowers today, as I found a giant one had grown overnight, meaning there was only 3 more giant crops to get. Constructing a mill was on the cards this morning. I'm not sure why, I don't usually make one. I just thought, why not? Finishing the special order from the wizard unlocked the last crafting recipe I needed to collect the crafting master achievement and crafting everything possible, allowing me to tick that goal off my list. Day 250 marks the halfway stage, but there wasn't much for me to do except keep grinding for the remaining tasks I had left to complete. To celebrate the halfway stage, I decided to ask Emily to watch a movie with me. Before that, I had to go at the claw machine to hopefully grab some fun prizes. Oh, wait, what is this? How did that get in there? I remembered to buy Emily a sweet treat before we headed in. The film was about natural wonders of the world, which we both thoroughly enjoyed. It was about time we had a break. I was back to work later in the day with the goal of decorating the bus stop area. It was a tough challenge, but this is how I finished it. Definitely spices up the scenery and looked great. I took to the area north of the farm to decorate that too. Of course, most of the day was spent here, but this is how it looked in the end. Quite nice. I made sure to add a nice seating area for any villagers who wanted a relaxing and quiet place to work or read at the end of the day. Day 252 officially marks the end of a productive spring season. I achieved a lot over the season, although it seems like I don't have a lot to show for it. With my goal close to 9 million, next season should be the month I build the golden clock. Of course the day wouldn't be normal without another batch of starfruit wine ready for collection and rekegging. A good portion of my time today was spent expanding the crop area by 2 more sprinklers. I wanted every chance to get the giant melon, as I cut things very close with the cauliflower. I also began the construction of a new area for all of my animal machines to go. I was producing a lot of produce and didn't have enough machines. So the sun was back, which filled me with joy this morning. The giant crop was the main priority, and after looting pears, I promptly filled my fields with pink seeds. I had a spare fairy box trinket, which after giving to Jazz allowed me to finish the friendships, ticking off that goal. This led me to check the perfection tracker to find it was at 90% with everything checked off apart from the golden clock. I'm so close now. More aged cheese was ready for collection in the basement this morning. As a reminder, as I'm still doing this, although it doesn't yield that much gold anyway. On the rainy island, my star fruits were once again ready for harvest, and being only 1 million gold away is the only reason I still have motivation to keep doing this. I completely forget you can upgrade the trash can, which led me to send mine off to Clint for an upgrade to steel. I wrapped up the day collecting starfruit wine, which now should just be enough to afford the golden clock in the morning. Day 255, I now had enough gold to afford the golden clock from the wizard, finally allowing me to tick off one of my goals, and ultimately achieving perfection. I made sure to do a bit of decorating around the clock and expand the path around Marnie's ranch. I thought it did need a bit of a spruce up. I had for the first time ever achieved perfection in Stardew Valley, and as I stepped out of my cabin this morning, I am delighted to see a flock of parrots calmly flying over the farm, whilst hearing some rumbles in the distance. I rode my trusty steed up to the peak to find my wonderful wife Emily. We had a warm conversation, reflecting on everything we had achieved over the past few years. This meant I had unlocked perfection achievement, meaning the whole goal of the series was now over. And as the credits roll, it acts as a fitting reflection to all the good memories we had on this series, all the funny moments we had along the way. The rejection at the flower dance, the violence at the egg festival, no rain in fall, and the only regret I have is making full friendship with Clint. But that was it. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end at some point. At the end of the credits, I'm visited by Grandpa and Mr. Key, who expresses how proud they are of me and everything I've achieved. Although the main goal was achieved, there were still things I wanted to do before leaving for real this time, as this was the first time I had ever reached perfection. Now perfection was achieved, Marnie now sold a golden egg for 100,000 gold, which was an animal I had to get once I got more money. It was only fitting to celebrate by watching another movie. Both our favourite thing was to do together. The claw machine had these weird statues, which after loads of attempts I managed to hook both of them to display on the farm. The first plan today was to head to Robin's to ask her to expand my house. I did promise I was going to completely furnish it, and I planned to do just that. A good way to make money was to use floors 30 to 40 in the dangerous mines to slay enemies. This paired with Monster Musk and the Parrot can yield up to 50,000 gold per day. And using my now fully powerful Infinity Sword, it was also very satisfying. The back room of the Adventurers Guild holds a secret present which gave me the last book I needed, which gave me the achievement for reading all of the books. A goal I can now tick off my list. I was back at Robin's this morning to ask her to build the community upgrade for 300,000 gold. This would allow her to build shortcuts around the town, proving very useful for me and NPCs. After collecting the 2 statues from the claw machine, I wanted to find every single rare one. After dropping a super cucumber in this hidden box behind the blacksmiths, it gave me the Humberjiffer. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Another one was found by dropping a strange bun in Vincent's toy box, granting me the Frogo Mon. Finally taking duck mayonnaise to this place in the saloon gives you pink melon. All very weird secret statues. Being in the secret mood, I decided to explore Lewis's basement and fight against a pair of his purple shorts. I am not joking, just look at this. The day ended with the construction of a cool area for all my secret statues to go. The last one I needed was from achieving level 15 fishing and fishing below the sewers to get the Iridium Crober statue. More secret hunting today, which led me to the volcano, where after achieving perfection, you can speak to this monkey, he'll give you a Concerned Ape mask. Which was really cool, I just needed a really safe place to store this. There we go, safe and sound. The new rooms I had asked Robin to build were looking very empty, so I spent today furnishing them. I first themed this room to look very planty, almost greenhouse-like. I made this top room my main living area, with an expensive piano and a TV. This is how they both looked in the end. Today started with a trip to Mr. Key's walnut room to pick up the statue of true perfection, which would grant me a prismatic shard every day. I had enough gold to purchase myself the golden egg from Marnie's while I was here. I also decided to buy a pet turtle, one of the new pets introduced in the 1.6 update, which I promptly named Treacle. I also brought a cat to join the farm, of course remembering to buy a nice cat treat to go along with it. I'm shocked this morning to find out that Emily has given birth to another baby, who I named Gemily. You know, because Gem and Emily likes gems. Doesn't matter. Anyway, it was nice to introduce another member of the family onto the farm after 2 new pets yesterday. The Lawalu returns today, and I made sure to add one of the Iridium quality goat's cheese to the soup for the best results. As always, Emily was rocking it out, while my child runs around in circles. Definitely my child, I can tell. It turned out the soup was one of the best the governor had ever tasted. He loved it so much he granted me the unforgettable soup achievement. Today consisted of harvesting starfruit on Ginger Island, replanting starfruit, and kegging starfruit. With not a lot to really do now, I decided to skip a few days in hope of having a giant melon grown on the farm. As it turns out, it was just the case, with 3 of them. Look at them. Crazy cool. As you will notice, I've missed out over 10 days, which I mostly slept through. As I said before, there wasn't much left to achieve in summer, and I wanted to move on to fall. Although I do really have some big plans for the final month of the series, but for now it was time to take in the last of the sunshine before the chilling air hits us tomorrow. I start the last day of summer by harvesting all of the melons that hadn't grown into giant ones, as they'd go to waste if not. One of the huge plans I had for the last challenge of the series was to get as many hats as possible. The suggestion was made by Kira Parmienter, who challenged me to collect as many hats as possible. You're on. A lot of these were easily purchased from the Hat Mouse, which I had its stock complete for all the achievements I had gained, but some of them are a lot rarer and more difficult to obtain, such as the trash hat. To store all of my hats I hoped to collect, I emptied my keg shed to fill it with mannequins and hold all of my hats. It was emotional letting go of all of my kegs, but I didn't need them anymore. This was all of the hats I could purchase from the Hat Mouse. I love the look of it already. But as you all know, Summer 28 is the day of the Moonlight Jellies, and for one last time, I watched and enjoyed the music before the end of the summer. The arrival of fall means the last opportunity for the last giant crop I needed, so today began with the planting of hundreds of pumpkins, really leaning to the Spirit's Eve theme. Back to hats, with a large portion coming from tailoring, and after tailoring a warp totem and a dinosaur egg, I received 2 more hats. In the evening I took a red mushroom, lava eel, jack-o'-lantern, oak resin and midnight squid to the sewing machine to make 5 more hats. All went quite nicely inside the new shed. I wrapped up all the remaining tailor required hats today, when I took all of these materials, which some of them are quite rare, like the dragon tooth and radioactive bar, to make the last hats. This is how my hat collection look now. I also remembered to add the trash hat from the first 100 days, and the mystery hat from a mystery box in here as well. More tailoring taking the remaining items, you'd be surprised how much tailoring is needed to collect hats. To end the day I did one last trip to the movies with Emily. This time it was a horror film which apparently she didn't like at all and was very scared. The raccoons that lived below us had requested some dried pomegranates and plum jelly today, and with some fairy dust I remembered to give it to them. My raccoon neighbours had almost doubled in size over the course of the 300 days, which was great to see. I made a return to the sewers to purchase the return scepter for 2 million gold, which, well, does exactly what it says and returns you home with the press of a button. I finished up decorating the hat room. This is how it looked in the end. Of course there were still some hats to obtain, but this amount was still really good. Day 283 to 95, with literally nothing else to do, I slept until 4:14 to see if any giant pumpkins had to grow, and to my surprise I managed to get 1, which meant I had all 5 giant crops, taking off another goal. Today was the day of the Stardew Valley Fair, which would be the last festival before the end of the series, so I made sure to make the most of it. I of course had to make a beautiful Grange display with May Lewis's shorts as the centrepiece. Winning first prize, I took to play all the various games around the festival, which began with a strength test, some target practice and a weird fortune teller, which was someone I knew Emily would love. After a great day at the festival with my family, I decided to call it quits and get an early night. Given how little time was left, I dedicated it to cleaning up the farm. I created this nice area to display all of my giant crops, using grass and made it look natural. There was still 1 room left in the house undecorated, so this is how I spent day 298. I decided to make a keg room, in remembrance of all the kegging I had to do across the 300 days, which was definitely very exhausting. Gus had returned to the island today, and it was only fitting to purchase some drinks, and had some pina coladas and mead. Day 299 I decided to do some prank calls on some villagers. Although it was so early in the morning, they all went to answering machine. Day 300. Finally, we have reached the end of the 300 days, and it's definitely been exhausting and crazy at the same time. But what more did I expect from a perfection series? We have managed to do so much over the course of the 300 days working towards perfection. The farmhouse looks incredible, grown all 5 giant crops, and of course, achieving perfection, which has been an amazing challenge to achieve. A goal I definitely would not have achieved if it wasn't for your wonderful support. To wrap up the final day, I rode up to the peak and watched over the cliff for hours, taking in the view, reflecting on the memories we've had over the course of the 300 days, and saying one last goodbye to the farm. And that's it. Of course, all good things do have to end at some point. And I really do hope you enjoyed the series, as I've put so much hard work into it. And if you did enjoy it, consider dropping a like and subscribing, as it really does help me out. Have a great day, and thank you for watching. I thought it'd be fitting to do an overview of my favourite memories on the farm, beginning with the stress of no rain in the first year of fall, which threatened the completion of the community centre in the first year. Of course, the rejection at the first flower dance definitely hit me hard. Getting married to Emily was obviously a really great moment, and of course, building the golden clock and achieving that perfection. I really hope you enjoyed the series as much as I did, and I look forward to working on more videos in the future. So that's it. That's the end of this mega series, and I really hope you enjoyed it and would appreciate it if you like to subscribe, as I'd love to continue to produce more videos like this. And thank you so much for watching.